your camera.
Okay.
Right.
Do you want to sit there or there? That's where I got the camera.
Just pointing in the right
Dang,
direction.
Boday looks like she's telling Hawaii.
Yeah, who am I speaking with? Alex?
Yep.
What's up, man?
How much are you doing?
I'm doing well. We're trying to figure this out, so thank you for helping us with this test run.
No problem. Do you have anything?
Yeah, we got it up. We just need to click on the share. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah. I can hear you through my phone though. Can you hear me through the mic and stuff there?
Yeah, let me, can you hear us on the mic? Can you hear me?
Try it again. Try it again.
Hear me?
Try it again. Talk.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Is it too loud or anything?
So on, Boday, you said you had a presentation?
Yeah, and we were just wondering, you know, am I gonna be a little box? I said, we were just wondering if we were gonna be a little box, if I was gonna be in a little box and the presentation was gonna be on the.
For today. All right, y'all. I can't hear y'all. Are y'all talking?
You can't or you can? So you can't hear me?
I can hear you now. So on the presentation, you'll just need to share down at the bottom, I guess, share your desktop.
Right.
And then at that point, we'll be good.
I'm just a little concerned why you can't hear us on the computer.
We can hear you on the computer. I couldn't hear you on my phone.
Oh, okay. Can you still hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, just making sure.
Yes, we can hear you and we can see you.
So what am I looking at? Am I looking at the computer or I'm looking at the camera?
You're looking at the camera, or you were. We can put it there if you want.
Okay, so we can see Boday's, we can see the screen there that y'all are presenting from.
Okay.
Do you see the video at all?
Yes, we can see the video as well.
Okay.
That's gonna be, on that case, you might just not even have,
So I might even use a mouse to.
you know, because
I don't know if I should be looking at that one.
with that where they can see her.
Okay.
What the,
Then when she starts this, just move her away. Because yeah, that's gonna be a pain in the butt, moving her around the whole time. I ain't for extra work. I'm a state employee.
This is the, yeah,
So are we good on this end, Caleb?
Are you good?
yeah, I guess, I mean, what do you guys see? Do you see
Again
that,
on the phone.
do you see that on the video, Alex?
What part is on the video? I see your welcome home slide, and that's what I'm seeing.
Okay, but you won't see me, is that?
I see you as well. We see you as well.
So how big is your all screen that you all are looking at, and how big is my little face in the screen?
Well, when you first start, your face is going to be pretty much the whole screen.
Okay.
And then when you go to your PowerPoint, just because of relocating where your image is at, when your PowerPoint's going on, at that point, you will just see the PowerPoint. Is that okay?
That's fine. So when the PowerPoint, yeah, that's what I was wondering, you know, is that if we have to sacrifice my face, which is fine, you know, just to see the PowerPoint, I'd rather first see the PowerPoint.
Okay. Well, we can do a little of both and go that route. So we should be good.
Okay, so when we first come on, I'll just say welcome and then hello, everybody. And then from there, we'll go to the PowerPoint and start from there.
Yep.
All right.
That works. So, all right.
All right, sounds good.
Can you hear me, Alex, still?
We good on this end?
Can we do just another mic check if you don't mind?
Yeah.
Can you hear me, Alex?
Yes, I can hear you, Caleb.
All right, just making sure the mic works still. Perfect.
Check. Can you hear us on your side?
Can you hear us on your side?
Yeah, it was a little low though.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we could hear you.
All right.
Yeah, it's just a little low.
Check. 1, 1, 2, 2. Check microphone. Check 1, 1, 2.
Yep, mic check 1 and 2. Okay, perfect.
All right.
All right.
You need something, holler, Kyler.
All right, thank you.
All right, bye.
Bye. All right, you good?
I guess we're good. What do you think?
If you're good, I'm good.
I'm good. I mean,
Brian,
it's fine.
That's,
I just gotta remember to kind of look over here. But,
Yes,
You know.
and
Let's see.
Welcome. Plenty of seats up front. David, right up here, buddy. I want to welcome everyone, both here and virtually, to the 26th Partnering Conference. Hopefully this is the last time we do a hybrid. I'm pretty sure the people in the back would appreciate that if this is the only hybrid partnering conference we ever have. To say it was been a challenge, be an understatement, but we're glad to have to have this opportunity to get together for at least many of us. And unfortunately, many had to be virtual in order to attend. So with that, this conference, the theme is Partners in Performance. So I was just thinking back about how important it is for us to get together and how much we enjoy it. And I know everyone would have preferred that we be able to have this all together, except maybe someone that had to travel a very long distance. But it's always good to get together with our partners and to just get the opportunity to learn about different things in the next 3 days. That's what we're going to do. We've got some great presentations. One of the things as I went through thinking about this conference and what I was going to say is it's given me a lot of time to reflect and to think about different things and why I've been fortunate enough to choose the career I have. And 3 P's come to mind: passion, professionalism, and people. And so with the passion, I'll venture to say that when we eat, whether it be lunch tomorrow, dinner tonight, tomorrow night, I'd say no matter where we are, you're going to hear different people talking about different things, but almost everyone's probably going to be speaking somewhat, even if it's just a few minutes, about the work we do. And it's because we have that passion that we can't seem to get away from it completely, because we just have that great passion for it. And, you know, with that passion, it reminded me of a story a friend told me about a lady that was working for the summer for a financial advisor. And this financial advisor happened to be where we had our money. And he asked her, he said, you know, what do you think about working down there? She said, you know, I really like the people. It's really fun. But even when we go to lunch, they want to talk about financial things. Well, like him, I agree. That's who I want investing my money. Somebody that's that passionate about it, that's all they talk about, even on their spare time. So with that, I think, you know, while we will be speaking and catching up on different things, family, hobbies, and different things, I'm sure that the topic will come back to our work just because we love it so much and have such a great passion for it. Another thing is professionalism. So I'm not going to lie to you, it really wasn't what I wanted to hear about having this hybrid. Not because I didn't think we could do it, just because I knew how much stress it was going to put on the people that put this together. And no matter how well they do things, there's so many things outside their control with the technology. And we're dependent on so much about the technology to get this right. But if I have to say, it was also an opportunity for me to see the professionalism that they have. The people before us have really set the bar high. This is the 26th time we've done this. And this group, not unlike several groups before them, have a self-expectation that we could never put a greater one on them than they have themselves. And it's something to watch. Professionals do professional things. And putting this conference together is, I've had a front seat just to see that. So I'm truly blessed to be a part of that organization and to be able to watch that. And the 3rd P is people. You know, working around such a talented group of people has been humbling and exciting. And it's made every day going into work a joy. And these people are not willing to fail. They're just not in their vocabulary. When John first approached this about being a hybrid, you didn't hear excuses about why it was going to be hard, why it might not be able to be done. It was, how do we do this? What do we need to do? And they jumped right in there and got it done. And there was no doubt in my mind, even before they started, that because of the people before them and the success that they have had, that they were not going to let failure be an option for them. So in closing, I'd like to thank the people, and I'd like you all to thank all these people that put this together, because it's only through their hard work and professionalism and passion that we're able to meet together and to have this kind of conference that has always been one of the best conferences put on by anybody. So with that, I'd like you all to applaud the people that put this together right now. Now, without further ado, I'd like to introduce Mr. John Moore, Assistant State Highway Engineer for Project Development. John Moore is a professional engineer with a master's degree from the University of Kentucky in civil engineering. His career began with the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet in 2003. Since that time, he has worked in various capacities within the project development area for KYTC, from designer, project manager, and planning director. John currently serves as Assistant State Highway Engineer. In his free time, John enjoys volunteering with scouting in Lawrenceburg. Please welcome John Moore.
And I will share that as the presentation is coming up, Tim is absolutely 100% accurate. There were, when we first talked about going virtual or hybrid, the excellent staff, Alex, Lisa, Jennifer, they all, and all the rest of them, they jumped on it in spades. So I want to thank them very much by name and before I get going. So have the unenviable task of sharing the some of the work that we've had regarding our strategic plan. And but before I'll get into that, been a lot of changes within the State Highway Engineer's Office over the past year. We've lost John Wilcoxon. We gained Tracy Nowaczyk. That's how you spell her name. It's not just it's Nowaczyk. But just to share who all's doing what, and this holds for about a week, and then we'll shuffle again. But I'm covering project development as well as construction and construction procurement. Jason Siwula is covering highway safety, including the innovation task, and he's picked up traffic and equipment. Ken Sperry for the next 8 days is covering materials and maintenance. And then our latest addition, Tracy Nowaczyk, she is focusing on performance, and you'll hear a little bit more about that a little bit later. So to kick us off, I want to share with you all a good foundation to revisit the KYTC mission statement, which is to provide a safe, efficient, environmentally sound, and fiscally responsible transportation system that delivers economic opportunity and enhances the quality of life in Kentucky. And this is what we're all about as a cabinet. So it's very good for us to revisit that. This past year in the spring and through the winter, I guess, we had a group of people come together to help establish some goals to turn this into some into more finite steps. So the goals that we came out of that is one, to promote decision-making, or excuse me, to promote safety in all decision-making. Our second goal is to strengthen stakeholder and customer relationships. Next is to deliver economic opportunities and to enhance the quality of life. You utilize performance-based management, demand excellence through innovation, and to nurture a culture of diversity and inclusion. And I just want to take a few minutes to just kind of celebrate what we're already doing in these. These may be new goals for us here, but this is not new for KYTC to pursue these. It's just an effort that we're doing to formalize it and make sure that we all are working on the same path. So first of all, as we're promoting safety in all decision-making in our planning area, we recently completed a truck parking study that will help identify the needs of the freight movers to move safely in a well-rested manner as they join us on the interstates. Next up, the data-driven safety analysis, which is headed up through design office. They've rolled out some new tools, which I think are going to be covered here tomorrow to share what innovations are there. And that's going to help us to further include safety in our project decision-making. Next up, in the utility world, utilizing white lining of plans to help efficiencies with our 811 marking, so that when our utility companies go out there, they know the high risk areas for marking their lines. So and that's going to improve safety for the workers out in the field, as well as our staff in the construction area. Work Zone Safety Committee has spun back up in construction, led by Katie Stewart, and it has some design participation, as well as we try and make sure that the work zone that our colleagues in the construction industry, as well as our contractors, are appropriately protected within the work zones. Electronic signatures and delivery and signatures, as we transition to a virtual world, our employee safety was paramount as well. And it has been phenomenal to see how a monster like KYTC has transitioned to electronic delivery and signatures over the past year. It's been great, and that's greatly streamlined our ability to get approvals, but also kept the wheels moving in transportation. So our next goal is to strengthen stakeholder and customer relationships. You've all seen all the virtual engagements, including the one we're enjoying right now with our virtual brethren. And I do want to call out appreciation for all those that are participating virtually, because if you all showed up, we couldn't have this. We kind of wheeled and dealed to try and find a way that we could have an in-person component, and this is what we were able to negotiate to make sure that we could meet in person. So I do want to thank you all that are joining in from your home or from your workstation. So, but over the past year and a half, 2 years, we have again made leaps and bounds in virtual engagements with the public through planning engagements, environmental meetings, through design, through we actually were able to negotiate with FHWA on how to do hearings in a virtual format, and right-of-way informational meetings, and actually right-of-way has been meeting with property owners virtually and getting electronic signatures to facilitate that. So we've had virtual engagements all the way through the process, which has been fantastic. We beyond just the public, local officials, we have provided subject matter expertise. This has been especially true in our structures area, where our locals do not have the experience or expertise. We have helped them out to make sure that the traveling public is safe and as they cross structures. Next up, we were asked by the legislature to adjust our prioritization schedule so they could participate appropriately. Our planning folks, they adjusted well to give that sense of ownership to the legislature, so that what comes out of our process is more respected when it goes to the ultimate approval in the General Assembly, which was fantastic. Utilities rolled out tools to help improve utility coordination through utility management pre-qualification and our statewide contracting. That I believe you'll see some of that this week as well. Next up, delivering economic opportunities and enhanced quality of life. It's really difficult to separate economic opportunities with the transportation system or highlight a particular area, but I'll take a stab at it. Through Program Management Office, we have coordinated extensively with the Economic Cabinet on projects that are happening throughout the state that will enhance economic opportunities, economic growth opportunities. Unfortunately, that's also involved a couple of maintenance barns that have fallen victim to economic expansion, but them's the breaks. Part of the economic opportunity, economic health of the state is ensuring steady and dependable lettings. That helps us because we have predictable bid prices. If the lettings go up and down, then when the market gets tight, prices go up. So if we can ensure steady and dependable lettings, that helps us to understand what our projects are going to cost and be more predictable and more efficient at the projects we deliver. Oh, well, let's skip to that one. Long-range transportation plan is just rolled out an update for that. This is an important opportunity for all of us as Kentuckians to evaluate our long-term multimodal transportation vision. This is going to help address pressing uncertainties and challenges that are impacting and disrupting the transportation industry. It's not only things that are disruptions can be positive or negative. The advent of autonomous vehicles is going to be disruptive, both to through many aspects. Going to more efficient vehicles, it surely disrupts the motor fuel stacks, but it also has some advantages through there too. So that's underway. Keep an eye out for it. Undoubtedly, you will have opportunities to interact with it over the next year. Riverport study, as we talk about modes, Riverport study, you may not think that has an engagement with highways, but for every barge that we get out there, that's a tremendous amount of freight movement that is not choking up our highways. So it's a partnership amongst all the different modes to ensure the efficiency of our highways. And we're just engaged with a Riverport study that helps to understand how we can maximize the use of our riverports to relieve our highways as part of that. Functional class context, a study that we are just rolling out with Transportation Center. This is a modification. We're looking at a modification to our traditional functional class system. And this will affect a variety of different areas of the cabinet. By the very base of it, looking at how does the traditional functional class system, how does that vary within different urban contexts, suburban or downtown. But beyond that, how does that impact bike ped considerations? How does that affect desired speed limits? How does that affect desired access? And a rural arterial or even a suburban arterial has a different feel and a different function than a downtown urban arterial. But that's a nuance that is not captured in our current functional classification system. Pollinator habitat. You don't really think about how transportation affects pollinators, but within DEA, Department of Environmental Analysis, they are playing an important role to ensure, one, that we can continue to successfully deliver our projects. Our pollinators are a threatened species that may be listed soon, and DEA is doing their part to get ahead of this issue. And two, continued survival of some very important critters that help feed us. And I don't know about you, but I am a big fan of eating. And lastly, not only external quality of life, but internal quality of life for our folks. We're looking at changing the letting dates. Traditionally, for as long as I can remember, letting date has always been on a Friday, which means that there's a certain group of folks within the cabinet that never can take a Friday off because they always have some milestone associated with the letting that's due on a Friday. So we're looking at changing that. So we've thrown out Wednesday, but we're open to other ideas. If you have any concerns or thoughts, please share them with myself or with Rachel Mills. We're seriously looking at doing that at the start of 2022. So prompt thoughts are welcome. And you should see that with, I think, the letting schedule. That's the letting deadlines will be based on a Wednesday letting, but we will formalize that after we fully vet that through the contracting industry as well as through consultants and yourselves over the next few months. So next up, utilizing performance-based management. I'm gonna just touch on this because my colleague in the She's office is gonna dig into this. I'm really setting the bar high for her, so you're welcome, Tracy. As I mentioned, part of that focus is establishing a an opportunity within the Chief's office to focus on performance. And that's with Tracy's role. As we have modified shift, as we do every 2 years, we continually improve that. Jason has looked at how we include performance-based elements as new criteria, bring it closer to a performance focus. And that's something that we are looking to do as we move forward. A couple of the different criteria that we're looking at that have both been included this year and we're looking at down the line is factors like criticality and redundancy. How critical is this route to the system? And does this route offer redundancy for a more critical route, or does this route have the only, if this route goes down, it basically it's like the Brent Spence, there's really no replacement for it. How does this really function on the system? Right-of-way performance-based classifications. Within the right-of-way series, Dean and his folks incorporated performance-based elements within their employee classifications to help bring in a performance focus to that area. And then finally, materials and structures, they're both looking at how to incorporate, implement performance-based methods within their day-to-day operations. And finally, excuse me, I got ahead of myself. Demand excellence through innovation. Again, back to DEA, it seems to be always on the forefront of some of these things. Through their EJ initiative, they're rolling out new tools to help bring efficiency to that environmental justice analysis that is required for projects. The perpetually lauded professional services consultant portal is an innovation that continues to bear fruit throughout the process to help streamline our contract approval, if nothing else. Our electronic count assignments and planning world, they're looking at streamlining our traffic counters. One aspect that's coming out in the next year, I believe, is to issue those count assignments electronically. And I know they're looking to do additional to that, include suggested routing to improve efficiencies in doing their counts, as well as to reporting those back to central office. And finally, training is always critical, and that has not fallen by the wayside over the past year. Boot camp, we transitioned that to a virtual one with Jeff Jasper's help, but very much appreciate that. Right away, they went through the spring and summer with some in-depth training for all their folks. And again, utilities with their utility engineering and coordination training. This helps our staff stay on the forefront of innovation and excellence. And our final goal, which is nurturing a culture of diversity and inclusion within the cabinet, I feel is the case, and I hope you do too, that we entertain a diversity of views, of opinions. There's not a one size fits all when we do things, and that helps bring a unique aspect. If we didn't include the diversity of views, we'd never have a roundabout. We'd never have an R-cut. And those are some of the highest performing, outstanding elements that we've incorporated over the past 5 years. Environmental justice tool, I mentioned that already. And planning, rural consultation survey, that's looking at how well we are getting our message out to different populations through the Commonwealth. So that will help us identify where we're lacking and adjust our public involvement efforts, as well as to just see how we're performing in that area. And then DB reciprocity. We, a number of years ago, engaged in ensuring that DBEs that worked out of state or that were approved out of state as a DBE could enjoy that same approval in Kentucky, and just started the process of looking at how we could extend that to some other states. So here's the goals again. I hope that gives you an idea of where we are as a cabinet, what we're looking at, where we're striving to be. And I just challenge each and every one of you, both here and virtually, to look at your role, to look at what you do day in and day out, and compare those against these goals to see what you can do to help further these goals as a cabinet, so that we, at the end of the day, make this a better place to work and a better, more efficient organization for the Commonwealth. With that, if you have any ideas or any thoughts or questions, please feel free to catch me in the hallway after the session or during the break, or any time at all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. Next, we have Boday Borres. She's going to be presenting virtually. In June 2020, Boday began serving as the Deputy Division Administrator for FHWA Kentucky Division, where she helps lead the administration of the Federal Aid Highway Program in the state and assists in carrying out US DOT's National Transportation and Safety Program goals. She oversees a diverse staff of engineers, planners, realty, financial specialists, and support personnel. Boday began her career with FHWA in 2013 as the division structural engineer. In 2017, she took an assignment in the Hawaii division as a Pacific U.S. territorial representative and ITS specialist. While living in Paradise, she worked with HDOT, American Samoa, Commonwealth of Northern Marianas, and Guam, giving guidance and delivering the respective federal aid programs. She retired from KYTC and served in several capacities as a scholarship recipient, bridge designer, statewide planner, and branch manager of the Quality Assurance Branch in Highway Design. Boday holds a bachelor's degree in civil engineering from the University of Kentucky and a bachelor's degree in applied science from Kentucky State University. In her free time, she loves spending time with family and friends, traveling around the world, learning new cultures, trying new food, golf, and landscaping. Please welcome our Deputy Division Administrator for Kentucky Division, Boday Borres.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. And I'm putting this as a welcome back for me as well, because, like I said, Tim said that I've just been here for a year now and working with the division office. So I'm going to share my screen and hope that you guys can see that. Excuse me. Can you guys see? Okay. So just starting off, like I said, I have the title as Welcome Home, but I do want to say thank you to everybody here that can, do this virtually as well as being in face-to-face. I think it is a great opportunity to be hybrid, but I also think too that for me, I miss doing the one-on-one and talking with people face-to-face. So I'm missing you guys over there in Louisville. So just a little housekeeping here on our end at the division office. We make up 18 folks in our division. We have some new folks. Noura Akkad, she is our community planner. She just started like last month. And then we have Nick Lombardi, who started back in April. He's our structures engineer. And just an FYI, I know some of you all, or most of y'all may know Eric Rothamel. He has just left our division office to go to the Virginia division. So we will be actually looking to hire a new environmental specialist. So that's who we have here in our office for now. And just kind of getting into the things of I guess what I'm here for, and as part of learning, I think about us in risk-based stewardship and oversight. I know that's a buzzword that's out there. Some of you may have heard it, some of you may have not. But starting a little bit of the history back in the 1950s, when we were big into the interstate, things were functioning. Federal Highways role was basically full oversight of federal aided projects. And as time goes on, we evolved into this whole situation where, there was approval actions that we ended up delegating or giving to the states so they can move more efficiently, excuse me, with, getting those funds out and then, creating the roads and bridges that we have. So, but there are still some actions that are still retained by us. And so with that, as time goes on, I mean, there's been a shift, and we've been shifting away from heavy oversight to a lighter oversight and more stewardship, where stewardship is where we're more actively helping and walking with you guys in delivering, you know, the projects. So with that, the US Code 106 requires us to have this relationship, and I'm talking like we do normally, partnering with an agreement, and that is called a stewardship and oversight agreement. And it basically delineates who's doing what as far as who's assuming the responsibilities. And our most current one is 2015. So we're up for an update, and I'm hoping that it'll be sometime in maybe next year. So just kind of an FYI on that, if it's about a 49 page document, and it delineates a lot of information. So if you ever wonder why, you know, you're doing this because, you know, someone just tells you, well, that's what the feds want. I mean, you can actually look up on this document and see what has been retained by federal highways and what the state has taken as responsibilities for assumption. So with that, our vision has shifted. Like I said, you know, during the evolution of being full oversight to where we are now, which was looking at risk-based, you know, we have to optimize our resources. And that's the same thing with KYTC. When I was working with KYTC, I mean, we used to have in KYTC, you know, about 6,000 to 7,000 employees. And now I think you guys are down to 4,000, whereas in the division office, you know, we used to have about 30 people in the office, and now we're down to 18. So we have to utilize what we have now and figure out how to handle that. So basically that's just figuring out what activities we're going to be involved with, you know, and it's based on risk. Other items that we look at is making sure we're documenting things. So at least, you know, later on down the road, you know, someone else can pick up where we left off. And I think that's the same that goes with KYTC. And then our goal is not to reassume the project approvals and so on that you guys already have, but just to, you know, kind of look and see that you guys are doing the things that you need to do by federal law. And then also if there are elevated risks that, you know, we would come in and try to work things out to figure what we need to do. So with that, you know, how does our federal highways work with you guys? And it trickles all the way down to the consultant world and then the contractors and so on. We use this toolbox we have. So some of you guys that are in the financial world, you've probably heard of the financial or fire reviews. Some of you in the design world, you probably heard of the program reviews or process reviews, where we kind of go over things as far as how do you, you know, like your ER program, or how do you all advertise for consultant work, things like that. So those are things that we look at regularly. And the other thing is, like in the construction world, you probably hear a compliant assessment review, or termed as CAP. But the biggest thing right now that we've moved into is the risk-based project involvement. That is the buzzword now, but the buzzword before was PODI. So I'm sure a lot of you all have worked with PODIs and understand is the projects of division interest, but you know, that term is probably going to be obsolete, and we will be using this RBPI acronym for now. And then I have to say, spot checks are coming. Those are kind of a way for us to check things, just kind of like a check and balance. So it's a short-term I guess, activity. So like I said, the PODI term is going to start dropping out, and we're going to be using RBPI. Some of you all have already been working with Jill Asher and our staff here with your point of contact on creating the risk-based project list. I think we have about 27 of those. And then with that, there's going to be risk-based project plans that are associated with those projects. And those are just items that are basically, we found through a risk assessment to identify activities that have to be done working in conjunction with KYTC counterparts. So here we are partnering again. And like I said, it's the same thing, kind of like the PODIs, but it's termed differently, and there's a little bit different nuances that go with that. As far as that goes, like I said, spot checks are coming. We'll probably be sharing that with leadership at some point, but for now, just know it's coming. So with that, I also wanted to share with you, because when I was talking to James about some topics of what to talk about for partnering and in performance for the theme, I also want to share with you guys a little bit of my story when I was in Hawaii, and how there was partnering and performance there as well. So the picture you see right now is the picture that was on my desk there in the Hawaii division office. So you can see there's lots of clocks, lots of time zones that I've had to deal with, and knowing to be on time, with working with federal highways. Just note that the Pacific territories are the beginning of where federal highway starts, and that at the end of the day ends, because Guam and CNMI, the Commonwealth of Northern Marianas, they are one day ahead of us basically, and then American Samoa is 1 hour behind Hawaii. So if you want to see my stomping ground back then, it was this whole Pacific area here. As you can see, Hawaii's at the over here on the far right corner, and you can see I'm basically made this little triangle. American Samoa is easy to keep up with because it was kind of like here being in Kentucky, where we have Eastern and Central time. So, keeping in mind 1 hour behind and meeting with folks like that, that was simple. But it took getting used to have Guam and CNMI, because they were actually 20 hours ahead of Hawaii. So then I had to remember, my math is 4 hours behind plus a day ahead. So if you're in my head, that's kind of crazy, but it makes sense. So just a little bit I wanted to talk to you about is, part of partnering is learning. So this is what I learned. The Territory Highway Program is a very small program. It's annually $40 to $50 million, whereas that gets split up between the territories. American Samoa and CNMI, they receive about $4 million a year. That's not a lot compared to what you or KYTC makes, or even some of the other bigger states. And then of course, Guam and Virgin Islands, they get about $16 million a year. But to be able to make this happen, to implement the Territory Highway Plan, just like the federal funds that KYTC gets, we do have a stewardship agreement with them. And I have to say that within that stewardship agreement, there's nothing that is delegated down to or assumed by the territories. So that still remains full oversight, even though federal highways, talks about, we're going away from full oversight. Well, in the territories, it still remains that way. So I just wanted to point that out as a difference. In US Code Section 215, the definition between territory and a state, they are not equal. So most of the laws that are written, are written for state DOT, state agencies. So the territory is kind of like outside. And so therefore there's some things that have to be kind of interpolated. And one of those things is that they don't require matching. So, with an 80-20 match or a 90-10 match here in Kentucky or on mainland, the territories, they get their 100%. And granted, it's a small amount, so they need every dime they can get. And then also eligibility wise, they do get ER, OJTS, NSTI, and some of you guys, of course, heard the discretionary funds if they would like to apply for that. So quickly going into each of the territories, I just wanted to point out American Samoa is made up of 4 islands. Tutuila is the main island down here, and similar topography, at least when I think of Eastern Kentucky, all the mountainous areas, there are lots of landslides that go on there. And, it is, construction is construction, wherever you go. Now, this was quite a bit different on my end as far as me learning about revetments. This is an ER project in Taputimu. Just lots of things that I learned as far as the high tide and a low tide. I only thought there was just a low tide and a high tide, but there's apparently differences, and based on that, we have to figure out when you can construct while you're in the water. Another thing near and dear to my heart, of course, is the bridges. So I got to inspect a lot of bridges out here. And most of the bridges here were built probably in the 1940s or 1935-ish era, probably during the war. And a lot of them are needing to be replaced. As you can see, the exposed steel under the bridge here on that deck. I was trying to introduce to them, some of the GRS, that are being done on mainland. Again, here's another bridge. This is on the two smaller islands, about 70 miles out from Tutuila. This is Ofu and Olasenga. They have a bridge that connects the island, which is so cool. So I was able to go here and help them. As you can see, the railing is not MASH compliant. So we were in the middle of replacing those rails. And then also hopefully doing some carbon fiber patchwork underneath on some of the beams. But it was also cool too, because I was able to share, like Keene, I could do a bridge presentation. We did toothpick bridges here with some of the kids, and I think they really enjoyed that too. As far as Commonwealth, Northern Marianas, there's 14 islands. 3 of them are pretty much inhabited. Saipan is the one you probably hear about, but most of the time, the folks there are Chamorro, and they, I think their population is about 60,000 people. Probably more notorious for down here at the bottom right-hand corner of the picture on Tinian is the island where the atomic bomb was, I guess, taken from as before it was dropped. But I can imagine Enola Gay sitting on top of that pit where they were loading the bomb. So it's a very beautiful place. Half a day means hello. So I'm just writing that from that's a picture from the airport. And then we'll move on to some of the projects. This was pretty cool. You can see a lot of washout from a road. That's a road, what they consider. And so we had to do some major work on this to get it to where they would have, it's an asphalt mix with coral. So it's interesting how coral, I think I had to call Paul Looney up one time, just to ask, the absorbency rate of, how I guess coral absorbs the asphalt and covers it. But, a lot of interesting things here. When I was looking at my first PS&E package, I found a coconut tree over here on this embankment. I thought that was pretty cool to have because it's very important for the landowners to make sure they do get recompensated, when we go through the right of way, and some of that is their, their crops, they live off of that. I do want to point out here that they still do paper, newspaper advertisements. So this is their T-tip, similar to our STIP. And that's how they advertise also for construction projects and consultant work. And lastly, we have Guam. I'm not going to grace too much on this one because the biggest thing there that's going on, even though they get $16 million a year federal aid, that is overshadowed by this $80 billion project. So back in 2006, I think some of you all may have known that the Marine Corps base there in Okinawa in Japan, was going to be moved into Guam. And so there was a lot of, I guess, projects that needed to be had on the infrastructure, as such as the roadway and the bridges. So there's a shared amount there that the Japanese government is also sharing, to be able to have this done. So back in 2006, that was the plan. By 2011, there was a maintenance of memorandum of agreement, that the DOD, in partnership with the federal highways, in partnership with the DPW, the local agency comparable to KYTC, that these monies were going to be spent and projects were going to be made. So I think the target date right now is at 2015. So at the time I was here, we were working on about 3 or 4 bridges that needed to be redesigned and, for some of these projects. Because as you can see, the equipment, I mean, they're huge. So the infrastructure has to be updated. So that in a nutshell is a whirlwind tour of what I've spent the last 3 years there in Hawaii with all the territories. And I just wanted to let you all know it was a great experience, but I'm glad to be back here in Kentucky and share things with you guys. things that I, didn't know, because, I had to work with the Coast Guard and NOAA and all these other things. So it's interesting, but, I hope to be able to see you guys at some point to be able to share and talk about some of the good times there. So with that, I'm just going to say you all enjoy your all's partnering conference. And I hope to, I guess, maybe chat with you at some point in time or even visit with you guys in the districts. But Siwula Amasi, Fa'afatai, Mahalo, and they all mean thank you in all the different languages. So with that, I'm going to move on. Whoever else is next on deck.
Thank you, Boday. Next, we'll have the district project management branch manager comments from Mike Bezold in the Covington district. Mike has worked as a project manager in District 6 project development for over 20 years and has been the branch manager for project development for a few years. He began his career with the Transportation Cabinet Scholarship Program in 1991 and graduated from the University of Kentucky in 1996 with a Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering. He started full-time in the pre-construction branch in District 6 in 1997 and has never left that branch. Mike grew up and currently lives in Campbell County, Kentucky with his wife, Juliet, and daughter, Miriam. Please welcome Mike Bezold.
Thank you, everyone. Now, I don't have pictures of Hawaii with me, but with standing with the theme of the conference, it's partners in performance. So I brought with me some of my partners in performance. First, I got coffee, which isn't necessarily my preferred partner in performance, but I know there's many people in this room and at this conference, and my wife can't survive without their coffee. Next partner in performance is I like to go to the gym and work out. Now, my V8 hydrate is one of the things I try to take every day. Very good partner in performance. And last one, I got my Citracell fiber supplement. Also very good to help performance. And besides personal performances, we've had a lot in the past year of professional performances. And a couple of things to point out, like structures. I think that our working relationship with structures is probably the closest it's been in my 30 years in career. The working virtually has had some advantages. It's always easy to get people from central office to your meetings, and the participation in the meetings is unprecedented. But to be able to do that virtually, another of our great partners is our IT section. We couldn't have functioned for the past year without our IT section. But there's a downfall. With our IT section, especially in Northern Kentucky, we can't hire a state employee to do IT. The only way we can hire someone in IT is to hire them as an individual contractor, which is great for the salary they receive, but there's no benefits, no retirement. So we still have a great turnover in IT. And like I said, we can't function without IT. And that's just the canary in the cage or the coal mine. The salaries that we offer are not competitive right now. And it's not even not competitive with consultants. It's not competitive with the other public entities. I've lost more employees to cities and counties than I have to consultants in my stay as the branch manager. It's to the point that a right-of-way agent would make more working at Wendy's than they would working for the transportation cabinet. An engineer one would make more working for DHL shipping in Northern Kentucky than they would working for the transportation cabinet, which is very frightening when we look at how the future is for us. Especially, I'm sure everyone here has heard there's a large infrastructure bill working its way through Congress right now. If that enters, or if/when that bill passes, there will be an infusion of projects into our system and into the coffers of the state. We, as an agency right now, could not handle an infusion of cash into the system. There's always been the talk in design, well, just hire more consultants or send it out to a general service contract, engineering firm to administer the contract, which that work, we have had success in the state doing that, like the Louisville bridges or the Mountain Parkway. Each of those projects had former state employees, former directors of the design with over 30 years of experience with the cabinet administering those projects. There aren't many people with more 30 years of experience anymore with the cabinet. Heck, our former director of design didn't have 30 years of experience when she retired. So we're not having the experience, and it's also just the bodies. When I started design, we had 12 people in design. Now I have 2. It's tough to build up a core of competency when you don't even have the bodies, let alone the experience. We have had LPAs go out to general service contracts and have consultants administer the contract for the entity. And those have not worked out well. Like I said, if you don't have a 30-year state employee helping administer the contract, it's probably the blind leading the blind. But it's not just design. Our right-of-way sections are at capacity. Like I said, a right-of-way agent for the state right now could make more working at Wendy's. It's very tough to hire people. I've lost half of my right-of-way staff in the past 2 months because the opportunities are out there. And that's the other thing people always say, send it out to a consultant, get more consultants on board to help administer these contracts. Well, it's not even just that. The whole industry of right-of-way is at the point of breaking. And most of the appraisers in the state are over 60 years old. In our district, there's typically 2 appraisers that do all the work. Well, if those 2 appraisers are busy, it's just you stay in line and wait. For relocations, there's typically 1 person that does most of the relocations for the consultants in our district. She's 72 years old, and every job she says she's retiring after that one. Eventually she's going to say, yes, I am done. And then there's not even a consultant for us to hire for those services. So we need to look at the future and how we can address our cabinet and move forward. Utilities on every project is an issue. The only way you can get utilities moved on a project is by really developing relationships with utility companies. Well, to build that relationship with the utility company, you've got to have some experience. You've got to build those relationships over time. So we need a stable, steady workforce with us to help build those relationships. To send a utility relocation out to a consultant, they don't have those relationships that they can fall back on of 10, 15, 20 years of working with the people to help move those utilities. So we need to figure out a way to address these issues as a cabinet, and how we can, a lot of the things, like I was saying, salaries we can't address. Those are all something by the legislature. But we as a cabinet need to figure out ways to address these issues and other issues to make this a better place to get us through the future. Like, this is a great place to work. The experience you get, the relationships you get to build, and the projects you get to work on. People didn't get into engineering to push paperwork. People got into engineering to solve problems or to help their neighbors, to help solve these problems, make life better for everyone. And as a cabinet, this is something that we as employees get to do every day. like I said, I've been in project development for nearly 30 years. And during that time, I've typically had about averaged 30 projects, consultant projects that I've administered at any one time. There's consultants that spend their whole life not having 30 projects. You get, working for the cabinet, you get to see all types of different things, from major bridge projects to small pavement rehab projects. And you get the vast amount of experience dealing with so many different diverse issues and solving so many great problems. Like I said, the consultant industry would love to have, not just because it's their work, but just the opportunity to work on some of the projects that we, as a state employer, guaranteed you're going to work on. So there is a great benefit of working with the cabinet, just the vast things you get to see and work on. But there's issues that we as a cabinet need to work on. And we need to work on solutions to some of these issues that are unique to the districts, but also universal in the whole cabinet. Like if you look at some of our drainage issues or the utility issues out of central office, those things can affect the entire cabinet. But like the utilities in Rob's district versus the utilities in Tracy's district, they have some similarities, but both of them have unique utility companies and unique personalities they have to deal with. Or if you're looking for design issues, the issues that are happening in District 1 with Chris versus District 12 and Sam are very different design issues, very different personnel issues. But there is certain overlying issues that are fully cabinet-wide, like drainage or structures. Or if you're looking at the right-of-way, the issues that I'm dealing with versus the issues that Andy is dealing with are very different, but yet there is some overlying similarities. So we need to, as a cabinet, come up with some solutions and look for the future as to how can we deal with these futures and how are we going to be able to deal with these issues in the future. And it's not something that we can look at entirely Frankfurt to solve these problems. We do have to solve these problems in our districts as well. But we need cooperation and collaboration between central office and the districts to solve these problems and to come up with solutions. It can't be a full solution that's dictated down from central office, but it's also something that we all will have to work together with to figure out what the future of this cabinet's going to look like and how we can deal with the issues that we're dealing with today and the issues that are going to be forced upon us if additional funding comes from the feds or from the state legislature or just the changes that we're dealing with in personnel and issues. So with that, thanks.
Thank you, Mike. I didn't know, I guess I am the oldest one up here. I guess that's why he laid that beside me. All right, the next on the agenda is Tracy Nowaczyk talking about the performance management. In 2004, Tracy began her Commonwealth Public Service in the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet's Division of Maintenance. She served as an engineering operations and pavement management branch before being promoted to branch manager in 2014. Tracy founded the Kentucky Preventative Maintenance Alliance and grew the pavement preservation program into a national leader. In July 2018, Tracy became director of the Division of Maintenance. As director, she instituted the asset management and investment monitoring principles regarding pavement and bridge management. She also managed the prioritization of projects. Tracy is a Southeast State Pavement Preservation Partnership board member and served on other national committees for FHWA and the Transportation Research Board. Please help me welcome Tracy Nowaczyk.
Thank you. Well, first of all, I'll start out by saying that despite what John says, that my last name sounds just like it's spelled. It's not a big deal. It's just Nowaczyk. Well, I'm thankful to be talking to everybody today a little bit about performance management because I'm certain that there are a lot of people that are wondering what an assistant state highway engineer for performance is up to, and am I just doing everybody's evaluations now? So also, it's great to be here and presenting in front of real people because I can be certain that my jokes aren't landing instead of just wandering like I have been in the last year in the virtual environment. So that's good. All right. Okay. So a strong transportation system is pivotal to our economy. Our geographic location makes Kentucky a crossroads state, and that makes us important not only to our residents, but to the United States as well. Our roads and bridges move travelers and goods that enhance the quality of life for everyone. Any state that's going to be competitive and move forward must have a strong transportation infrastructure. That's good. It's really sensitive. Well, I'll just read what I was going to say. Okay, so there are a lot of parts to the transportation infrastructure, and all those parts must work together. Kentucky, we own a lot of stuff. We have the 8th largest state-owned pavement network. It's valued at about $45 billion. And we have the 7th largest state-owned bridge network, and that's valued at about $8 billion. So all of those systems must work together, and maintaining them in a state of good repair is essential for providing that safe and reliable transportation system. But every day, there are many challenges and many needs. It's difficult to build the roads and bridges we have while maintaining, it's difficult to build the roads and bridges we need, rather, while maintaining the roads and bridges we have. All of our projects must be selected for a variety of reasons, from safety to mobility to economics to asset renewal and life extension or system health. This requires us to consider how we can meet our specific goals while also adding value where possible to the other programs. So traditionally, we're used to finding value across a single program, right? We have a pool of poor condition pavements. Should we spend our money on pavement A or pavement B? There we go. But if we spend all our money on pavement, what about bridges? What does it take from bridges? Should we invest that money in a bridge or pavement? Our challenge doesn't just stop at pavements and bridges. If we invest entirely in assets, what about safety? Or mobility and economics? So you can see that we must make many decisions in many different contexts. As our work becomes more multimodal and multidisciplinary, the complexity of our decision-making is increasing. Performance management helps us as an agency make informed decisions to create the best system possible. It maximizes the effectiveness of our state transportation system. But effectiveness and impact can be difficult to define. And maximizing impact requires us to have an understanding. We have to understand who we are as an agency and also who we are as partners to one another, who we are as members of the community, and who we are as a state. We need to look up from our specific programs and what we have and look out to the needs of our partners and our communities. So where can we go to look at who we are? Well, John already kind of brought us here, right? So the first place we look at is our mission statement. It points us towards safety, efficiency, environmentally sound systems, fiscal responsibility, economic opportunity, and quality of life. We can also look at our values to guide us toward what is important at KYTC and provide us focus as we make our decisions every day. And we can look at our operational plan goals. Now, John took us through these earlier, So I'm not going to go through them all. I'll just highlight optimized performance through people and innovation. And remind you that as he pointed out, all of these plan goals are things we're already doing. This is just us highlighting them. So we've already started working on our performance management journey. And in there, we are looking to establish and sustain a performance-driven culture, ensure our resources are invested appropriately, and apply technology and innovation to improve effectiveness and efficiency. So our mission, value, and operational plan goals help define who we are to the state and our external partners, but also who we are to each other. So how do we define our impact today? Well, some of you might recognize this exercise. It's something I did briefly in one of our leadership meetings. I asked our district chiefs and division directors to tell me what is the impact that our programs, functions, and district offices provide. Now, most of you provided us with the mission statement to describe your impact, but others described your relationships with your partners and your duties and products that you provide to each other. So our impact can be looked at as both outputs and outcomes. An output is a product or service that we deliver, and an outcome is a condition. It is more closely related to our mission statement. Outputs are stuff. They're products. They can be passed to our partners. Outputs are moving a project through approvals, development, and delivery. Outcomes are the benefits of the stuff. They're the best value project that improves transportation. We don't want to simply make more stuff. We want to benefit our communities. It's important also to remember again that outcomes can exist regardless of our activities, which means that there's an element of uncertainty to what we do. And we need to understand that. So as we work to better demonstrate what we accomplish through our outputs and our outcomes, we also have to acknowledge what gets in our way. Issues that can impact our accomplishments include uncertainty, resources, organizational features, leadership, and interdependencies. We have to be honest about our constraints and uncertainties to demonstrate what challenges we meet along the way. So let's also be honest about some of the fears surrounding performance management. If we can get past thinking about performance evaluations, I think we might think about report cards or rankings with little arrows indicating whether we're doing good or bad or the same. So treating performance management like a beauty contest, it can be a danger, and it can lead to symbolic behavior or gaming. If coming in on budget is a performance measure, should we celebrate a project coming in under the engineer's estimates, even though it was well over the 6-year plan amount? We need to be aware also of unrealistic assumptions that can provide an illusion of control for what we do. And an example of what being unrealistic would be thinking that information is always available, that there is clarity in what we measure, that we can clearly define cause and effect, and that all of our activities can be measured and quantified. So I've been an engineer for a long time, and this is the first Dilbert comic I've ever inserted into a presentation. So after I give this presentation, I'll probably go home and shower. But here it is. It was given to me by a friend almost immediately after accepting this position. So this is important though, because decisions are guided by processes and influenced by organizational culture, biases, reason, emotion, experience, benefit, costs, context. Decisions are also affected by our degree of collaboration, our urgency, the quality of data, the availability of resources. Simply put, decisions are a product of ideology, interests, and information. And we all need to be aware that data is really just one component of decision-making. So I mentioned every day there are multiple goals with multiple outcomes. And sometimes our goals need to be isolated to bring us clarity, but there's not always a single center. Performance management helps identify a framework that supports different types of decisions and strategies for successful thinking. Performance management is not a technical program. It's a continual process. It starts again with that knowledge of who we are and what our goals are. And using that, we can identify appropriate performance measures to improve our business as a state and to meet federal requirements where they exist. Then we can plan how we work towards that measure, identify our resources, our investment strategy, and our data to support our decisions. And then that plan moves out the door and becomes a reality through different funding mechanisms and processes. And then we need to look back on what we did, analyze our investments, identify any bumps in the road, and communicate those out to our partners so that we can find that continual improvement. I referenced federal measures as a performance requirement. There are 7 federal national goals with specific measures associated, but KYTC performance management is more than just those federal requirements. It is that continual process of improving the way we do business. So we're going to take a closer look at just one of our goals, asset preservation, and look at that framework. We'll use pavement as an example. As I mentioned, the cabinet has already been doing performance management. So we're going to look at just one example. Is anyone in the room familiar with the pavement preservation program? Some of you. Perfect. So our goal is to preserve our assets as efficiently as possible in a fiscally responsible manner. And using that, we can identify appropriate performance measures, so pavement condition. And we can use our support data to inform us what condition our pavements are in. How are they good, fair, or poor? And then we can plan how we will work toward that measure and identify our resources to make that decision. What software is available? How do we predict the condition of our pavements over time? What projects are the best selection? And then that plan moves out the door and becomes a reality through processes like the resurfacing program and the 6-year plan and other possibilities. And then each year we look at what we spent in pavement. We look at how much life we put into the system and compare it to how much life was lost out of the system. And then we report that out in both state and federal documents. That application has been beneficial to us as a state. When you look at selecting projects, it can be instinctive to want to treat all the poor condition pavements first. However, managing only poor condition roads sends large amounts of money to a very small amount of pavements. And that kind of worse first strategy creates an endless cycle of increasing needs. So performance management uses data to ensure we are effectively managing our roads and maintaining the best condition possible. In 2016, we did a projection of our pavement repair needs, and that's the hashed line that you see on top. And it showed that our pavement needs would hit $1.5 billion by 2020 if we continued to treat only the worst condition pavements. If you remember pavement A versus pavement B, that's that question. But investing similar dollars in pavements with performance management outcomes allowed us to reduce the overall pavement needs by $500 million in just 4 years. So how do we add value across our programs with each of our decisions? Historically, we've all known the needs of our specific projects and programs, and SHIFT is a program I think we're all familiar with that work to compare the benefits of projects and consider additional value. Well, the next generation of asset management or preservation prioritization will be similar to SHIFT and allow each dollar to have more impact by incorporating mobility and risk considerations with condition. We have recently implemented this for bridge prioritization, and we'll be using that to help inform our 6-year plan project selections. And then we will look to incorporate it in pavements next. With bridges, for mobility, we are considering the ADT, the ADTT, whether it's a school bus route, an emergency route, what the detour length is. And for risk, we're looking at fracture critical components, scour criticality, the inspection cycles. And And we're moving to incorporate that, and then we, like Shift, we'll revisit it on a regular basis and look to see if we can incorporate vulnerability of the structure and environmental considerations and safety considerations as well. So transportation performance management is about deciding where to invest resources, but project selection is not the only important investment made in transportation. Once a project gets selected, did it get developed and delivered on time? Did it stay within scope and budget? If it didn't, what did we lose by placing more money in that project? What about personnel? Mike reminded us all that it is fall, and fall is the horror season by reminding us all of the body count. So do we have enough personnel to get done with what we need to do? Our construction inspection efforts matching our risk? What about the performance of the materials we selected? So you can see that best value can be looked at every level. We've started on our performance management journey, and we are advanced enough in performance management to understand that there is work ahead. We understand the traditional needs of our specific programs, systems, projects, but a lot of our needs are emerging. We need to consider the climate changes ahead of us and what parts of our infrastructure can be vulnerable. Can we apply enhanced design considerations now to help mitigate our risks earlier? How resilient is our transportation network? Can it quickly rebound from incidents that are caused by weather or vehicular behavior and demand? We also need to not only compare the needs across our assets and major programs, but also better understand what is gained and what is lost through each investment in safety, assets, mobility, and economics. We can create the best single project for pavement A or pavement B, but if that project comes at a great cost, can we afford the loss of a bridge or safety project? Have we really found the best value overall for the state? So I want to start wrapping up by reminding everyone that performance management is a process that connects our programs to our mission. Informed decisions will help us maximize the impact of our investments, and the increasing complexity of our decisions requires us to define our accomplishments and also define our challenges in order to find that improvement. Our programs, processes, and projects build strong infrastructure that help keep our state and country moving. Performance management helps define what we are working toward while also recognizing that performance measures are just one component for decision-making. When we facilitate investment decisions around our mission and our goals, we are able to look up from what is our direct responsibility and look out to the needs around us, which helps us to provide even greater value to our industries, residents, and travelers. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. It's 1:50 and we have a break scheduled at 2 o'clock. And so we're going to break right now let's just break till 2:15. How's that sound?
Well, I was thinking that. He was the first person to start. Was it last night? 6? Yeah, I thought you were saying this to me and Boday. Sorry, I'm the old man. Actually, that was at the
Work on getting us all back in here. I don't know. Late for virtual people. We stand there going.
You don't have to abbreviate. I've spoken to them for years. It's
I want to
already
give you
short.
due. I want to give you your due.
Then just say, hey, here's some guy that we said was in
I only picked up off the street. Oh, no, it's not that long. It's not that long. Give it 2 more minutes, then we'll get started. We just go ahead and go. I don't know who's in the back. None of our folks. Well, I presume this will show up on the screen when I start speaking. I presume they will get the virtual people back in. Okay. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back, everyone. Next on the agenda is opportunities ahead, connected automated vehicles in Kentucky's transportation system. 2 presenters, Shane McKenzie, who's the connected and automated vehicle technology lead. Shane joined the Transportation Cabinet in 2013, serving as in the Division of Planning before transitioning to her current role as connected and automated vehicle technology lead. She began her engineering path interning on a Portland International Airport expansion project, redlining original drawings with as-built record drawings and linking them to RFIs during a design build project. Then she started her career in her hometown Battleground, Washington as a technician, working her way up to assistant city engineer before moving to Kentucky. Thanks to cheap flights in and out of Louisville, she worked in Chicago for CH2M Hill, now Jacobs, as a project engineer before joining KYTC. Also, Jason Siwula, Assistant State Highway Engineer for Innovation. Jason started with the Transportation Cabinet in 2000 on the KYTC Civil Engineering Scholarship, starting full-time in 2005. He spent 5 years in KYTC's Lexington District, moved to the KYTC Central Office in 2011, assisting with the administration of the Highway Safety Improvement Program, and then joined the State Highway Engineers Office in 2014 as KYTC's Innovation Engineer, providing leadership and oversight to the Cabinet's research, innovation, and performance management programs. Jason currently serves as Assistant State Highway Engineer at KYTC, where he leads the Cabinet's innovation program and works with partners across the 4 E's of highway safety: education, emergency medical services, enforcement, and engineering to prevent serious injuries and death on the public roadways of the Commonwealth. Please welcome.
Thank you, Tim. I appreciate the introduction. I want to let you know that I talked earlier with Jason, and I'm going to fly the plane up, and Jason's going to land it. So you'll hear from me first, and then you'll hear from Jason. So I don't have a prop like Mike did, but I do have a game. So hopefully that will engage you in this space. So a couple of years ago at TRB, there was a group of transportation officials, researchers, and other folks gathered around a table. And one of the DOTs asked, and they were talking about this space. They were talking about connected and automated vehicle technology and how to wrap their heads around it. And one of the DOTs asked, how do we get these technology developers to explain to us all the things that this technology is capable of so that we can prepare our transportation systems to best accommodate these new technologies? So I thought to myself, this is how do we help them help us, help them help us? So it's very circular, and it takes both sides. These technologies are powerful, and as they grow up, our transportation system is going to grow up. So how do these guys think? They're innovators, right? And this is an innovative topic. How do we, anytime we want to improve our performance in our system, innovation is always a cornerstone, right? So here's the game to get you in the mindset of innovation. The clicker is working much better, by the way. Thank you. And thanks to all those technician people back there. So I'm going to have 4 mission statements or purpose statements from 4 entities. I'm going to put them up here one at a time on the screen. And you get to guess who they are, or you get to, if you know who they are, you can either raise your hand or shout it out. And to make it fun, since there are 4, we're going to make them worth 2.5 points each. And then if you get all 4, that means you're a 10. So are you ready? The first one, everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. Anybody? That's right, Steve Jobs. 2.5 points. How about this one? Our mission is to organize the world's information and make it universally possible and useful. Anybody? Show of hands. I'm sorry. Google. Yes, Google. 2.5 points. Good work. Okay. How about this one? I am dedicated to the production of an efficient and reliable automobile that is affordable for everyone. Yes. Excellent. See, these are getting easier. How about this one? This one is the most powerful. We provide a safe, efficient, environmentally sound, fiscally responsible transportation system that delivers economic opportunity and quality of life for all Kentuckians. That is so powerful, right? That's all of us. That's KYTC, and we definitely have to be innovative. So now let's talk about you. Many of you in this room, I was talking to Jason earlier about this. A lot of you are in project development. So let's talk about what you have to work on every day and what you think about every day. And here's a question that Jason came up with. This was going to be a poll question on a Mentimeter, but we didn't want to make it complicated for all of what's going on here. So here's the question. On a recent project you've been working on, think about which of these performance measures were important factors to consider. Existing expected crash frequency and severity, capacity and traffic operation efficiency, mobility, connectivity, accessibility, existing and potential development, asset management, pavement and structures. We heard a lot about that today. Impacts to the environment, community impacts, freight. So the poll question would have hopefully produced answers from you that would reflect the ones that maybe are the go-to ones. And I know from project development that the go-to ones are all of these, right? They're all important. Maybe not all of them are important on all projects, but they're all important. So the good news about this is connected and automated vehicle technology has major potential to help with all these performance, things that we wrap our head around every day. So why are CAVs in Kentucky's transportation system important to each other? It's about ease of travel. It's about freight and logistics. And both of these things is Bob, yes, Bob Yeager is in here, who's struggling with major traffic going on in Northern Kentucky and many places, right? But it's highlighted because of Brent Spence Bridge and a lot of construction up there. And this technology, if it's both automated and connected, can help ease bottlenecks, which is going to help freight and logistics, and it's going to help ease of travel, right? Access and equity. There's some major issues in our system that we try to grapple with, right? We'll talk about those. Congestion, the jury's out on whether or not it's going to add to congestion, or is it going to, if it's cooperative, it could be at least everything's moving at the same time. So it could be a trade-off. And how about crashes? Unbelievable potential to reduce crashes. Just the connected vehicle technology alone can reduce, there's a study that was done by NHTSA that determined that 80% of all vehicle-to-vehicle crashes that are unimpaired could be mitigated by this technology, by connected technology alone. So let's talk about the next part of this. How will they affect crashes? We all know because our heads are into this all the time, right? We're studying this, we're studying the data. We're trying to figure out how it's going to impact our project that we're working on. We know from NHTSA, when they came out with this crash stat a few years ago, that it's drivers that are the major element in risk of crashes, right? 94% of fatal crashes are product of human error. We don't want this to be status quo. So connected and automated vehicle technology has enormous potential to lower this number. And we want to lower this number. How will it affect the economy? Truck traffic, according to the US DOT stats that came out in April, it's been like this for a while, but it's the mode that transports the most, not only the economic value, but 70% of what we receive at our door as goods, it's coming on a truck somehow. So how does this technology help these trucks? They're adding the technology to trucks now. We passed a bill in 2018 that allows cooperative and automated technology to allow these trucks to be more, it's commercial trucks only, but to allow them to reduce that headway and to be able to save fuel. How will they affect mobility? In Kentucky, 17% of people in our population are 65 and older. That's projected to grow to 25% by 2030. That's 8.5 years from now, a quarter of our population. Not only do the elderly, and I don't know if you have family members that you're the transporter for, elderly aren't really necessarily wanting to get out on I-64 anymore, and they don't like to drive at night. There's also the disabled population. That's 7% of our population also. These two groups of people are really challenged by our transportation system. This technology has major potential. So what's important for us, and this gets back to that first question at TRB, how do we help them help us? One of the things we have to understand, and this is something we haven't had to understand before, is how do their automobiles work? How do we gain knowledge about what the capability of these technologies will bring to us and how they impact the performance of our roadways and how we can improve our roadways to improve the performance of the vehicle? We have to wrap our head around these standards. So that the one on the left, the Society of Automotive Engineers, their J3016, that's a number you should remember, and it's one you should get familiar with. It's significant. And the SAA J2735 for transportation officials, it's even more significant. So we'll start with one at a time, as long as I don't go backwards. So the J3016, it's referred to the levels of driving automation. It's a busy chart. Jason helped me figure out how to break this up so it's a little more digestible. On that blue side, these are referred to as, let me get this up here, advanced driver assisted systems. It's actually AAA that came up with this terminology because we, the consumers, have no idea, or we have little idea of what all the technology does on our cars. And it's because the marketing campaigns that are going on this name them all kinds of different things, and they do all kinds of different things. The word automate is in so many pieces of this. Let me see if I can get the pointer to work. This one right down here, this is a level 0, and see what it says? You may not. It says automatic emergency braking. Automatic emergency braking. That sounds automated, doesn't it? It's level 2. That word automate, it's always created confusion, right? We drive automobiles. So anyway, we have to wrap our head around this. These are available today. We can drive these vehicles that are equipped with this technology. On the other side of that chart, the green side of the chart, these are referred to as automated driving systems. These are not available for us to drive today. Not a consumer. You and I can't go buy one off the lot. But they are being used in other applications. They're used in, and you'll see these in a moment, mobility of service, delivery, all sorts of things. But they're not available for us as a consumer to buy. This is the game changer technology in my head. It not only helps, it could not only help vehicles today and some applications that we can do today, it can also help vehicles of tomorrow. Language matters. To be able to communicate, we haven't ever been able to communicate with in-vehicle cars when a fleet is made up of cars with a whole bunch of this technology. This technology, this standard, the J2735, allows that communication. And think of it as this. What if cars could talk to each other? And here's an analogy that I think will help sink this in. What if you were a walker or a jogger or a bicyclist? I know we have some of all of those in this audience. What happens when you're on a path with other joggers or other walkers or other bicyclists and you come upon them and you want to pass on the left? What do? You say, right, hey, I'm on your left, I'm passing you. And the other person acknowledges that and you avoid a collision and you keep moving on. What if cars could do this? Cars can't do this today. Automated vehicles can't do this and likely won't. It's this technology that's going to allow that communication. And what could happen on our roadways when that can happen? You could have cooperation, right? Hey, I'm on your left, don't go this way. A car that's 3 ahead of you, hey, I'm stopping, you need to slow down. This technology allows that. What if it was in an ecosystem and all vehicles could do this? The data we collect today, and we collect all kinds of data, we could be getting that back into the vehicle. We could be getting it back into vehicles that are of the future, the automated vehicles too. What if this whole transportation system could be in a nucleus? That's a game changer. And we're going to work towards this. So here's what form will they come in? And many of us have this question, and maybe you've seen some of these forms. This personal drive, this personal travel. I think many of us want to see this when it's ready and it's safe. How about delivery of goods? That's become a real thing during COVID. And how about mobility of service? This mobility of service thing could be key for some of the equity issues that we have in our transportation system. And those are challenged by the transportation system today. And how about our truck and our freight mobility? This is enormous to our economy. Big question. This is all over the board. When will they get here? But I have a history lesson that I'm going to walk you through that whether you realize it or not, all of us go through this when we decide whether or not something we're going to use it and it's going to be used by everybody. And that history starts with, is it possible? Is it acceptable? Is it useful? And is it legal? If all 4 of those criteria are met, pretty good chance we're going to use it. So let's start with an example history. If history can tell us anything. The picture to the left is Seattle in 1902. And as you can see, there are lots of people walking. There are teams of wagons full of goods. There might be a vehicle way in the back. I can hardly tell that or not. There might be one. But fast forward just a short 13 years later to Seattle in 1915. I think Henry Ford got his wish by then. The street scene is filled with automobiles. You still see people and you still see the other things. You don't see wagons, you don't see horses. That's pretty fast. How about acceptable? Is it worth the risk? This is a great example. Otis came up with a fail-safe way to make an elevator safe in 1852. Before this, people didn't get on elevators. We moved goods and things, grain, all kinds of stuff with elevators. And they were done by cables and pulleys. if they snapped and broke, they would drop to the ground, but it would be dropping products, not people. Otis came up with a mechanism that when the cable was cut, it would slam shut and that deck would stay in position. And that set off a transformation in society. Buildings went from 7 feet tall to what they are today. We wouldn't have the Empire State Building without them. But if you look on the photograph to the right, that's an elevator in 1950. It was in that time frame that we were willing as society to get on an elevator without an attendee. This took 100 years. This acceptability thing of risk is a big deal. How about useful? This is an example of my family farm, and I just recently acquired this picture. This is my great-grandma Dora. She's a youngster. She's taken hay from the field with her team of horses up to the barn for the winter for the cows and horses. Today, that's not how we do it. There's only my husband and I. Occasionally, we get our kids to help. But my husband bought a grappler and an accumulator so that we could pick up 10 bales at a time and get them on the wagon and get them in the barn before the rain. So is it useful? And this is really, really important. Is it useful? And how about this? This piece is a super important piece. If it's not legal, we're not going to use it. And we have a patchwork going on right now. But the timeline is, in my mind, this 10 years is very fast. The very first state to pass legislation did it in 2011, and that's because Google lobbied their state house to allow testing of automated vehicles on their roadways, on their public roadways. Today, there are 37 states, and this is a little bit deceiving. You see California, sorry, you see Kentucky in here, and that's because we passed the platoon bill. We passed commercial truck driving to be able to use connected and automated vehicle technology. And that connected vehicle technology is what's powerful for all of what we're talking about. That automated technology is a level 1 technology. So this is a bit deceiving. There are lots of different legislations out there. And here, Jason is going to land the plane.
Yeah, thanks, Shane. Everybody hear me okay? All right, great. So let's talk a little bit about how transportation has changed and what those changes really are. So when you were a kid, what did people think the next big thing in transportation was going to be? Personal transport. Sorry? Yeah, flying cars, right? And so the Jetsons, if anybody's familiar with that. By the way, did you know that the Jetsons was only like 1 season? It seemed like there was a lot more Jetsons cartoons than that. But anyway, so when you look at it, when we talk about what that opportunity is, a lot of people realize that there's an opportunity out there, but they're not quite sure what it is. They know that something needs to change, but they're not quite sure what direction it's going to head or where it's going to go. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about opportunities. I want to say that I really appreciate Mike's comments from earlier, Mike Bezold's comments. You know, he talked a lot about issues and challenges, and I'm going to tell you that the flip side of that coin is opportunities. So when Mike's talking about what challenges us today, those are opportunities for us to change things tomorrow. There's some kind of an alarm going off back there. Very concerned. Okay. Let's see. All right. So I'm going to use Shane's same way of looking at this. So possible. So again, our picture of Seattle. In 13 years, it went from nary a car to that's all you see. Okay. Now, what does that look like in this space? Okay. How many people here have a vehicle that has at least one driver assistance system? So think adaptive cruise, think any of those types of things. Okay, I got a couple people raise their hand. Now, how many people out there are sleeping? And I'm not talking about, Reg's, he's getting a new classic car, new to him classic car. So I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about your everyday driver. So when you look at it, those are driver assistance systems. Now, when you think about driver assistance systems and you think about automated vehicles, what's the name that pops into your head first? Tesla, okay? So Tesla markets their ADAS as what? What's it called? Autopilot, that's right. Thanks, John. I really appreciate that. So autopilot. Now, Shane was talking about marketing, what a difference marketing makes. Does that sound like it's driver assistance? Or does that sound like it replaces the driver in certain situations? Okay. So when Shane says that things that were on the left of the chart, the green stuff, that's stuff that's commercially available today, driver assistance tech. Okay. What does that mean? That means that anything that's out there on the road today that is in a consumer's hands is something that fits into that bucket. Okay. So no ADS, no automated driving systems out there yet. Now, let's look at this same graphic. So 1915 until when? You know, when do we start seeing these vehicles of the future? Now, think about in your lifetime things that have changed with the cars. And I'm going to talk about this a little bit on Thursday as well. But things that have changed in cars. So what are the major car innovations since you have been alive? And don't say the car. Anybody? Cruise, automatic windows. Oh, I like that one. Airbags. Oh, I like that. That's a safety one. What else? Anti-lock, fuel injectors. Yeah, I like all those things. What about the seatbelt? Right? Seatbelt, that's an innovation for a car, right? So when you think about it, we're talking about taking that personal transport and taking it to the next level. And I will say that Shane selected her pictures very well for this presentation because they all have seatbelts in them, and I'm very appreciative of that. Now, acceptable, worth the risk. So let's think about this. Again, Shane's elevator example. Now, one of the things that I don't think she mentioned was the fact that, you know, you still had attendees on elevators for a long time to help people really, get more comfortable with it. So what does that look like in the automated vehicle space? That looks like safety drivers, right? So vehicles that are able to drive themselves have people in them as a fail-safe, right? Now, what did we hear from Shane earlier about safety, about people? And everybody drove up here at some point, anybody walk? Okay, so I lost count on how many people I saw doing this with their phones, they're kind of looking down instead of, looking out here at the road. Now, on my way here from Winchester today. Now, I can't count very high, so I'm not sure, how many that was, but suffice it to say, I see you back there laughing at me, Moses. I can't help it that I never learned how to count that high. Now, again, when we talk about what the vehicle technology does, in today's terms, it helps the driver, okay? And the driver needs help. It's critical, it's very important. Now, so worth the risk. Let's look at this. Self-driving vehicles in 2020. Shane mentioned some commercial applications. We have some opportunities where NHTSA has actually allowed for the creation of vehicles for certain types of applications to be truly driverless. There are places where you can get automated cab rides and things like that, or Uber, or however you want to look at it. So what does that look like in the future? Okay, does that look like a living room? Anybody taken a trip this summer? Anybody driven more than say 50 miles at one time? Okay, wouldn't it have been great to be able to do that without having to have paid attention to the road? Maybe some of you did that. I wouldn't recommend it. Now, again, when we talk about what are the opportunities, what is it? What are we really trying to do? When we talk about connected and automated vehicles, so often we're talking about the tech. We're talking about what it is. What's the application? Connected and automated vehicle, the opportunity isn't about what, it's about who. It's about helping people. It's about helping the people in this room. It's about helping your families. It's about helping your loved ones. And so when we talk about automated vehicles and connected vehicle applications, ultimately, it's not about the technology. It's about who does it help and how does it make their lives better. Now, useful. So I want to talk about this neuro vehicle for just a second. When you look at personal deliveries, how many people in the last month have gotten an Amazon box somewhere on their porch maybe? Hopefully nobody stole it. Now, I will say that getting ready to do a consumer transportation survey, USDOT they got approval to do one. And I think it was about 10 years ago, they did the last one, maybe a little bit longer than that. And at that time, less than half of people had gotten in the previous month a delivery to their house from a service like Amazon or something like that. You think that's changed over the last 10 or 15 years? What about the last 10 or 15 months? So when you look at something like this, where it's like, well, hey, instead of anybody ever like deliver pizzas as a job or have any type of food delivery job? Okay, so think about what does it look like if instead of doing that, you have an unoccupied vehicle that make those deliveries. Now, this is something that people are looking at not only for over the road, but sidewalks. If you go to several big cities around the country, you might see one of these little guys wandering around delivering groceries or things like that. Now, what does that mean? What does that look like? Well, what it looks like is that people, we always called this the microwave society previously, right? Where the advent of the microwave kind of really sped up people's expectations on things. Has anybody gotten a 2-hour delivery from Amazon for groceries? Okay, I didn't think so, but that's out there. It's possible. Okay, and but I know that a lot of people in here are project development professionals, and that means that you're planners. You do planning, and that's good. Enjoy that. But is it useful? Absolutely, it's useful. What does it mean though? What can we do? How can it work? Now, legal. Again, Shane talked about the map on the left, enabling legislation or some piece of enabling legislation. Really, really important to think about. You see that on the left, that's a patchwork, right? That's something that each state has different rules. You might have different rules region to region and things like that. The future of that looks similar to the way that that laws operate now, where if Andre, for instance, goes over to Indiana, he can reasonably expect that the same types of, he can read the signs and those types of things. The rules are relatively the same. Consequences may be different. Now, what I want to talk about for just a second is that we're going to have a strategy for connected and automated vehicles. Is something that a lot of people in the room have actually either contributed to or worked on. And this is something that is coming soon to a Highway Knowledge Portal article near you. And we've got this, this strategy for connected and automated vehicles. And when we look at what that looks like from a cabinet perspective, this space changes a lot quickly. And so we got to stay informed. How many people in here have read an article in the last week, something about connected or automated vehicle? About 5%. It's an estimate. Remember, statistics most of the time are made up on the spot. Okay. Form a CAV advisory group. Now, this is one of those things where we have an internal group that we've had some external input into, and we're going to be looking to expand that going out. Because again, this is a transportation centric issue, but it's not holistically a transportation issue. And then partnering again with other states, and we're a part of a CAV group with MASTO states, and we're a part of different things going on nationwide, because ultimately what we want to do is we want to work together to get this stuff out there and helping people. So that's going to take policy change. That's going to take stuff, over at the legislature in order, and not just our legislature, Washington, D.C., and everywhere else. And there's a lot of different things going on in this space where people are lobbying for this or that. But if we keep up with it and we learn about it, we can look at what those opportunities are going forward for us to be able to engage with it and ultimately use it to help our people. So that's all we have for you today. And I think that we're probably running a little bit over. So I will not take questions here, but I'll be here at the end. And if you have questions for either Shane or me, we'd be happy to take them. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Jason and Shane. I wouldn't worry too much about Moses over there. I think what he was saying was if he doesn't take his shoes and socks off, he can't count above 10. So don't worry too much about that. Next, we have Kyle McMahon from Keene. He's a statewide Keene coordinator. He's going to speak about Keene, igniting a spark for future engineers. Kyle began his career at KYTC as a civil engineering scholarship recipient. After graduating from the University of Louisville in 2018 with his master's in engineering, he worked in the Covington section office before transitioning to the District 6 design section. In 2019, Kyle joined the Kentucky Engineering Exposure Network Board before taking on the position of statewide coordinator in 2020. Since becoming the statewide coordinator, Kyle has focused on continuing Keene's great mission of teaching Kentucky's youth about engineering and recruiting more engineers to be Keene presenters. Please welcome Kyle.
Hi, everybody. My name is Kyle McMahon. I am the Keene statewide coordinator. Today, we're going to be talking about Keene igniting a spark for future engineers. Now, I know not everybody here is from KYTC, and I know not everybody in KYTC knows exactly what Keene is. So we'll backtrack a bit and talk about what Keene is. So what is Keene? Keene is the Kentucky Engineering Exposure Network. It was created in 1990 to improve the presentation and speaking skills of KYTC employees. We want to shed that image that engineers can only do math and science. They can't talk to anybody in the real world. We are designed to introduce the youth of the world to engineering in a fun and creative way. We want to show these students when we go to the classrooms that engineering is a little more fun than their average math class. Today, Keene is managed and guided by a board of 12 members. These 12 members lead Keene as an organization. In each district, though, we have a Keene district coordinator. These district coordinators help us reach as many students in every corner of this great state. Helping the Keene district coordinators are a team of presenters in each district. So, what exactly does Keene do? We have a two-pronged approach on community outreach. First, we partner with schools and youth organizations to provide classes and activities in the STEM field. This is where we introduce to the students that engineering can be a fun and engaging career. Second, we participate in middle school, high school, and college career fairs. This is where we go and we talk about the great scholarships and educational programs that KYTC offers. These educational programs are the Civil Engineering Scholarship, the Civil Engineering Technology Scholarship, Minority Internship Program, and the Transportation Mechanic Apprenticeship Program. So the Civil Engineering Scholarship is a 4 to 5 year scholarship to one of our state schools. This scholarship can be up to $60,000. It provides students with co-ops and internships during the summer and also guarantees them placement after school. The Civil Engineering Technology Scholarship is a 2-year program to Bluegrass or Big Sandy Community College and Technical School. After their 2 years, they are going to be placed as a Transportation Engineer Tech 1. The Minority Internship Program is an internship program for the minority students in our colleges, and they can work while they go to school so they make a little money while gaining valuable experience. The Transportation Mechanic Apprenticeship Program is for students that are going for an auto or diesel mechanic position, and while they're at school, they can team up with the KYTC mechanics and gain valuable experience. Once they complete this 2-year program, they will receive a National Apprenticeship Certificate. These 4 programs are the lifeblood of KYTC. They are providing us motivated engineers for KYTC every single year. So how do we make how do we make engineering a fun and exciting career choice for these students? We do it through school presentations and activities. One of our most popular ones for the grade school is making a boat from a single piece of aluminum foil. The kids love this. They get to see buoyancy in real life. They have for the middle school and the high schools, we have a bridge building competition with either toothpicks or a Connect bridge building set. This is a great introduction to the engineering principles for bridges in our middle and high schools. It shows the basics of bridge building, and also it provides a little bit of competition within schools. These students love to try to beat their own classmates and who can have the most pens or pencils on their bridge before it collapses. Our newest presentation is locating utilities activity. We bring a locator wand into school and we teach the kids how to locate underground utilities. They take the wand and they hover it over a box which has some sample underground utilities, and they mark where the utilities are going to teach them why we mark what we mark on the ground near job sites. They learn about careers in civil engineering. They learn about the environment through our Enviroscape activity. The Enviroscape activity is a great one because it is a 3-in-1 activity. It teaches them about the effects of erosion, watersheds, and pollution on our earth. And then always a fan favorite is the snow and ice removal. When the trucks come to the vehicle days and they can see the snow plows, the kids definitely love that. So in summary, our presentations have 3 parts. First, the presentation, then we talk about the scholarships, and then we do the in-person activity. Now that you've seen kind of what we do today with Keene, where do we want to take Keene in the future? What's our vision? Keene's vision is we want to inject new excitement into Keene. We want new people and new ideas into Keene. We want to increase the number of presentations in the schools. The more schools we go to, the more students we're going to introduce to engineering and civil engineering. We want to create more awareness for our scholarship programs. It goes hand in hand with the number of presentations. The number of presentations, the more presentations we do, the more students we talk to about the scholarship, the more students that can possibly go to college to pursue their desired career. Then lastly, we want to develop new content and recruitment opportunities. Now, what do I mean by new class content? We want to provide new innovations for new tools such as online engineering games and video libraries. Today's students learn online more than ever. We want to increase just from going in person. We want to take our Keene message about civil engineering to the students where they are learning online. We want to launch a statewide bridge building competition. We want to build on the success that we have with the individual classes in the bridges and bring that competition statewide. We feel that this will just make better bridges. With that, we would like to possibly have them team up with a KYTC engineer or just a civil engineer inside the state so that they can get real-time feedback on their bridge design to make the best design possible. We want to possibly coordinate engineering clubs for more interaction. This would be not only the bridges, but other engineering ideas that the students would come up with, and KYTC or outside engineers would give them immediate feedback on how they're doing and what they could do better. Lastly, we want to increase our programming's marketing. We want to have a greater online and social footprint. We want to create videos. We want to be more on social media. We want to have webinars. Again, these kids are online more than ever. We want to take our message and go where they're learning. So now that I've talked about what we do currently with Keene and where we want to go with Keene, how can you help? We are looking for help with more presenters and Keene support roles. We need both engineers and non-engineers in KYTC and outside KYTC to utilize and grow your gifts to help support Keene. These skills can include communicating with schools and teachers to schedule and conduct presentations. This can be developing new class projects, hands-on, video, virtual. If you think you have a great idea of what would be a great presentation, we would love to hear about it at Keene. Organizing events such as career fairs or possibly job shadowing for a class with an engineer, and many more activities that promote and enhance the program. Again, if you think you have a great idea for Keene, we would love to hear it. So if Keene sounds like something you would like to do, how can you join? You can contact your district Keene coordinator. You can find the district Keene coordinator by going to the KYTC Keene website. At the bottom of the web page, there is a list of every district's Keene coordinator, with the Keen board and myself, the statewide coordinator. You can collaborate with us to create new presentations. And lastly, spread the word. If you know a teacher or a parent or a kid that this sounds like this would be perfect for their classroom, tell them to go to our website, KYTC Keen, and fill out a contact form in the middle of our website. It's a very short, easy process. When they hit OK, it goes to our email, and from there we can send it on to the appropriate district so that they can schedule a presentation. So again, spreading the word is the most important thing you can do to help us ignite a spark in engineering. This QR code up on the screen will direct you to the KYTC website. It should be for virtual as well. I assume everybody has a smartphone at this point. I'm not sure if everyone knows how to use a QR code. If you open your camera app and you point it at the QR code, there should be a notification that comes down. You click that and you'll go to our website. From there, you can learn more about the history of Keen, what we're doing today, and fill out a contact form to let us know that you are interested in joining Keen. So, any questions? All right, well, again, my name's Kyle McMahon. My phone number, my email is up here. On the app, I also have my link to my LinkedIn and my email again. Please feel free to reach out to me. We are looking forward to having so many more new Keen presenters. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Kyle. One thing I'm gonna add to what Kyle said, when we get these young people in for the summer, it's incumbent upon all of us to help them to learn what they're doing and what our job is and how they can help support us. And I've been around long enough to see a lot of people come in, like they get some menial task and then they decide engineering is not for them. Well, of course it's not if they're going to do some kind of menial task. So when you get the opportunity for these kids that come in to work around you, whether you're the supervisor or coworker or just somebody that's near them, take the time to help them to see how exciting a career in engineering can be. All right, next we have Jarrod Stanley for a research program update. Jarrod is a graduate of the University of Kentucky with a BS in civil engineering. In his 21 years with the cabinet, he has worked in the district and central office in various roles in construction, maintenance, traffic, and safety, and is currently the research coordinator for KYTC. Please join me in welcoming Jarrod.
Afternoon. Much like Tracy and Nowaczyk, my last name is pretty easy to say. It's just like the hardware tool or the carpet cleaner. So I was real worried too when Jason got up here and started talking through his mask, and I thought, oh man, I can't do that. Like he could pull that off, and Jeff Wolf could probably pull that off, but I don't think anybody else could. So I'm glad he took it off. That way I felt a little more comfortable with talking to you. But it's great to be here in person. I mean, it's great to see everybody, and got some cool stuff to talk about today. Get rolling on that. All right, so I'm working on a website right now, and one of the things that I'm going to have on there is our purpose and vision, but our purpose breaks down into like 3 different parts. It's collaboration with our universities and our outside partners to solve complex problems, and then deliver and implement tools or guidance for decision making. So that's what boils down to the purpose of the research program. And our vision it really reflects a lot of different things that are inside of the KYTC vision, such as solving complex technical issues, improving transportation network, and improving customer service. So those are things that you'll see that echo the overall mission and vision of KYTC. But there's really 4 parts to the research program. The top 2 that are yellow are more of the things that we work on in state. So the technical support and the SPNR program, which most of you are familiar with. Hopefully you are. Hopefully you get an email from me asking for solicitation of ideas. But those 2, we work with our partners in the universities inside the state of Kentucky and our consultants. And then the bottom 2 are really more national things that we're a part of. We're part of the NCHRP program, from helping in selection of projects to sending panel members, so participation on webinars and things of that nature, And then we have our pool fund studies, which states actually pool together pots of money to research a problem or an issue that is very common to maybe like right now we have one that we're looking at to Midwest bridge deterioration. So it's very common, a very common theme in a common area, but the technical issues can be woven all throughout a DOT. So they pull their money together, and we'll talk a little bit about that here in a minute. So I'm going to focus on some of the things that we've completed recently in the research program. And what I want to do is I just want to kind of run through them, and I'm really going to try to stick to things that we've completed, and do this a little more annually and give you an update about where we are with certain projects. And some of these you may be familiar with, some of them you may not be familiar with, but we'll start with an SPNR stuff. And a lot of this is with our partners at UK at the Kentucky Transportation Center. But we have this year, Western is part of our SPNR program. They got their first project, and U of L is helping out not only with some technical assistance stuff, but they're also helping out with an SPNR project on data quality, crash data quality initiatives. So really cool to have those new partners. We've been building and forging those relationships. It's taken a while for us to kind of understand how to work together, but we're forging forward. First thing I want to kind of highlight and talk about is a couple of different tools that you folks in project development may know or may not know about. So who in here has used the Crash Data Access Tool, or CDAT? Great. It's a really cool tool that we developed in conjunction with Eric Green at the University of Kentucky. You fill out your county route mile point, and then from there, boom, it gives you lots of different information, graphs, charts. It even gives you safety performance functions, SPFs, if you're familiar with those. So it has a lot of data built into it. And you can see there at the bottom the web link to get to the crash tool. If you want to get into that and you don't sure how, or you can't see this, just let me know, and I can get you in there. The other thing that we've worked on is a crash modification factors list. Reg Soleret, they just completed this project, and I've got it out there on the DDSA website. If you have access to the data-driven safety analysis website, that the cabinet maintains a lot of things on in that area. It's now out there and it's linked. I've got it up. If you need access to the website, let me know. But this sheet is really, really cool. It's there's a lot of different things that you can enter different scenarios for SPFs, and it will help you narrow that down so that your choice is a lot easier when you're looking at your overall project. Another thing that we've just finished that you might think, well, how would I use this? But I'll try to explain why I want to include it. It's Traffic Incident Management Dashboard. And really, it has a lot of perpetual congestion data on there. So when you're looking at some of your projects, you may be able to just hop on here real quick, and it may help you make a decision about what types of traffic control you may need if you see perpetual congestion in different areas. But it is on the data mart. So if you go to KYTC data mart and then click under the safety tab, the incident management dashboard is out there for you to look at. It may have some information that you may not be able to use, but I think it does have some stuff out there that you can use to kind of look at it. And it works a little bit in conjunction with another KYTC project that we're working on, which is updating the work zone cost spreadsheet. Jonathan Reynolds is doing that with Mei Chin. So when they get that finished, there'll be two different tools that you'll be able to use to kind of price and look at work zone stuff. And so the next I want to talk about initial project estimating. This was a project that was really cool. It's got a lot of different facets to it. The first part of it, it's going to have a couple deliverables that we'll get out there on the Highway Knowledge Portal, which is a teaser. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But it's the first part here. You can see it's like a spectrum of estimating, and it tells you what a planning estimate is, what a design estimate is, what a field engineer's estimate, all those things are, and gives you some breakdown to help you understand where you should be. And then there's a flow chart about the development of project estimates. But one of the biggest parts of this is the folks over at KTC working with our information technology people when you're talking about implementation of the Astro Projectware for estimating. And any of you that may have used Astroware before, it comes straight out of the box and you're able to use it just the way you want, right? Yes, right. No. So, Jeff Jasper, a lot of folks, Bob Lewis has been very helpful in this. So we're actually supporting this another year through some implementation, further implementation, in order to make sure these things get weaved together, that the things that we developed in our estimating carry through to the estimating program that we're actually going to, consultants are going to use this too. So really cool stuff out there. Something that's not, we're not finished with, that we're just, we're working on, and I'm trying to support Catherine Keithley as much as I can, is digital terrain models and as-builts. This is some snapshots of some stuff that we just flew one day in Georgetown, the new bypass and the new traffic circle and our cut there. But this stuff's really important, and it's going to be driven from the construction end. But you know, we're going to work with our partners in design to ensure that we have this connectivity and everything flows together. But it's important because it helps in construction management. It helps in quality assurance. It helps in asset management by being able to geotag things that are out there. So if you had this digital model, you could actually tag, let's say, a signal pole, and you could say it's a 25-foot pole, and the signal heads have these types of phasing. So there's a lot of data out here that you can gather and geotag for asset management. And then it's also important for as-built to be able to look at a digital model of what's actually built out there if you wanted to, you know, if you embark on something in the maintenance realm. The next thing to talk about is a guidebook for project development. This is a really cool project. And again, I'll get into a little bit more of this in the Highway Knowledge Portal, but this is a roadmap for new project managers. And for someone like me who's never worked in the project development realm, I was amazed at the number of steps and the things that were drawn up on in order to complete all these flow charts. I mean, there's a lot of different things that you have to consider when you're developing a project. And I think if I was starting brand new, I would love to have something like this. And there's like 4 different types of projects out there that are kind of generalized, but it gives you a general ballpark of the things that you have to look out for. And I placed those out on Knowledge Portal, which I'll be talking about again here in a minute. But moving on to some technical support items, pavement forensics. A lot of this is done through Adam Ross's group, but I just want to take a minute to just talk about some of the cool stuff that they do. We use ground penetrating radar and the falling wheel deflectometer. Though it's alphabet soup, I know, but it does give you a lot of feedback and information. What it gives you is pavement depth and pavement quality, and we can use that in order to make a really good decision about the rehab project. And Brad Reister and his group complete a lot of these and report back to Adam Ross. But if you're working on a project and you're not sure exactly what kind of life cycle costs or some things that are currently out there, you can get a hold of Adam, and this is possible. What it does is it helps in the quality of your design, and it reduces change orders because you know what's actually out there. There's no surprises. Something I want to just quickly hit up on was when the Newtown Pike extension was completed, and many of you in the room are very familiar with this. Part of that, the environmental justice part of that project was that to build a self-sustainability area for affordable housing. And those of you know, affordable housing is a huge issue right now. I mean, anybody that sells a house and tries to buy another one knows that it's a huge issue, but it's really a huge issue in some parts of Lexington. So we displaced a lot of folks in this community. So the intent is to create an area at which they'll have perpetual affordability for housing in that particular area. And there's some things that have to be wrapped up, some loose ends that have to be tied up. But we got some folks at the center. Pam Clay Young, if you're familiar with her, former District 7 employee, she's really working hard with Shane Tucker on kind of getting this buttoned up. Just a really cool project to hear the ins and outs. Not very engineering technical, but it's interesting nonetheless. And I want to give a shout out to a lot of the folks at KTC. You know, they put together a lot of the classes that you partake of, and Project Managers Bootcamp is a big one of those. They spent an immense amount of time preparing for this last round and ensuring that it was all virtually accessible. But I really want to just say the LTAP folks over there, the technical assistance folks, and Martha Horseman's group, they've been great to work with. We transitioned and put a lot of training online. And it's been well received because some folks have not had to travel like they would once before. And some of her folks not had to travel like they previously did either. So it's been really good. And they worked really hard. We've had a lot of conversations behind the scenes trying to figure this out during this COVID period. So going forward, I think we'll continue down that path and have a lot of different things that are more available online. So there's some other technical assistance items like ADA sidewalks and guardrail components. A lot of this is completed by Jeff Jasper. I just want to point this out because if you're on a project in your design, I know we don't have a lot of folks in construction in here, but if you have a question that you just don't feel like you're getting a very good answer for, we may be able to help you answer that. And I know Tim and Jeff Jasper worked a lot together on answering some very tough questions out there. And Jeff's worked on a lot of these different things. I think Jeff Wolf worked a lot on the 2+1 signing and markings, and they've even pulled David Moses in on some of them. And yes, Moses is he's working for the Kentucky Transportation Center now. He's kind of like a old rash that keeps popping back up. Well, he's here again. I couldn't believe it, sitting across the table from him. Like, I could not get rid of you. I love you, Dave. You'll remember that come tailgate time. Some other technical assistance highlights you can just see up here. You know, there's things that come up now and then. Steve Waddle's been really helpful about pushing the design build, and Jeff Jasper worked on it too. The design build, a guidance that was really, it was out there, but nobody really knew what it was or where it was or how to use it. And all of a sudden we had a lot of design build projects. So Steve worked a lot on trying to weave that into implementation and maybe adjusting things here or there. So that guidance is out there. And then some right to take, and of course, Shift. Jason Blackburn's fired up a lot of stuff for Shift and technical assistance with the university. He called me and said, how much work can they do? I said, well, how much money do you have? so that's, you know, Jason, that's kind of how we get started. It's like, I got a way to pay for it. How can I get somebody to do this work? So, well, remember, there's so many of those folks over there too, but he's really fired up about a lot of the Shift products over there. So we're going to be doing a lot of things in that realm for the next couple of years. This is something that kind of got finished, but we got a bunch of stuff coming down the pike. Just quickly touch on pool fund studies and just show you some of the things that we're part of in this arena. The blue stuff that you see on there is kind of the pavement deterioration. Think more of the maintenance area. And then the darker color, the black, and then hopefully you can disseminate them. Pavement quality and materials is kind of that area. And then the ME design is a program that Adam Ross uses for the rehabs. So just to give you an idea of the things that we're involved in nationally. And then we do the same thing when planning. There's some freight stuff in there. The deterioration of Midwest states, very interesting project because it's very difficult to assess the deterioration rates for bridges and because we use a lot of chlorides. So a lot of Midwest states have kind of come together on that one. The biggest thing I just want to say is before I get into Highway Knowledge Portal is as you look at these things is use me to help you. I have to say thank you. This program's not possible without your input and your voice and your participation on the SAC committees. I could not do this alone. There's no way. We have 60, 70 projects going at a time. And so your support and my ability to come and talk to you and your ability to come talk to me ensures that we keep a quality product for us between the universities. So I have to say thank you. We didn't really stop working during COVID. We just worked through it. We found other ways to meet those challenges. So just really, I mean, I've worked for this cabinet for 21 years and I'm continually amazed at the dedication that people have. And I just want to say thanks. It's great. But the whole purpose of this project or the purpose of this program is working behind the scenes to help you do what you need to do. Kind of like the old BASF commercials. I don't make anything. I just hopefully make whatever you do better. And that's what I'm here for, is to support you. So thank you, and allow me to help you. There's lots of resources out there nationally. There's things that I can ask other folks in other states. There's a coordinator in every state. Generally, there's a whole group of folks that can help in other DOTs. So just give me a ring. If you see me out in the hall, or if you don't know me, come up and introduce yourself. I'd introduce myself to most of you, but I'd be kind of like Ned Ryerson on Groundhog Day. It'd be a little strange, but just come up and talk to me and ask me any questions that you might want to ask. So I'm going to move into the Highway Knowledge Portal, and really I'm going to try to sum up the Highway Knowledge Portal as this. It's to disseminate knowledge effectively and efficiently. My thought, if I'm trying to portray what this thing really is the old Superman movie, not the newer Superman movie, the old ones with Christopher Reeve. He takes the crystal out and throws it, and the Fortress of Solitude pops up, and he goes in there and he's reading, he inserts all these different crystals, and they tell him about his family, tell him where he came from, tell him about his powers, why he has his powers, when he has his powers, like why he's special, why they sent him away, what happened to his homeworld. And so that's kind of what this is, except for highway transportation knowledge. So yeah, it's still pretty cool, I promise. So the big thing is just capturing institutional knowledge and integrating policies. That's the biggest thing we want to do. I'll talk about it here in a minute. We've got a guardrail article out there, and the guardrail article is not just guardrail for maintenance or guardrail for design or guardrail for construction. It's about guardrail, and it takes you all through the entire process of how to lay that out and how to calculate it on your plan sheets, how to lay it out in the field, how to maintain it, what types of end treatments to use, what are the different end treatments, what are the different heights, all these different things that you need to know about guardrail. And part of that is so that if you're a designer, you may be able to look at some of that information and understand, okay, this is how they're going to maintain it. So maybe this is what we need to implement out in the field. Maybe this is the end treatment we need to use. It's in order to just mesh this stuff together. So this is live, published at Friday. It's published in SharePoint. So here's what I'm going to tell you. It's going to look different in the future. I'm going to use a WordPress or have someone help me build a WordPress a version of this site. Right now it's SharePoint, but I don't want to wait any longer to get this out to you. This is good stuff, and it's rich stuff. And just like people talk about it, when you hear good news, you want to tell somebody about it. I want to tell you about it. As you can see, the project time management there on top, there are several articles about project time management that have been developed by and reviewed extensively by folks that are in the cabinet. I beg you, go out there and take a look at some of those, and I'll give you the web address here in a minute. But yeah, get out there and take a look at those. We have structural steel coatings. We have an article pertaining to UAS and how to use that, and how we're using it inside the cabinet. And I just placed the guardrail article out there on Friday and then published the website. So in the future, you'll come to this website landing, and it'll look something like this. But right now, you'll hover over these guys and you'll click on them, and a PDF will pop up in a separate window. And sure does, it popped up in a separate window. And you can read all about it. And here's kind of what they look like in a PDF format. In the future, they're going to be a little bit more, think of it somewhat in the realm of Wikipedia, where they're very searchable and linkable. But right now, this is first generation, and those of you that know me know that I'm not a web designer. So this is the best I can do for right now. But I'm gonna get hold of some people that can really help me, and we're working on that solution right now. But so here's the address. It's easily edited. If you see something on here, we've reviewed these, but there could be something you're like, hey, this is not quite right. This is how we actually do it. I hope that's not the case. I hope I've got all the right people in the room. But if I haven't, just let me know. We can edit it, and we can put another version out there in 10 to 15 minutes. But it's transportation.ky.gov/highway knowledge portal/pages/default ASPX. which that last tag there is pretty general for any web page. But this is for you. This is not for me. This is for you, and this is for the young people in the room that need to know what we're doing. And this is a way to keep competent knowledge inside the cabinet and have access to it very quickly. You know, guidance manuals are just not that's not the talk of the day. Kids, you know, they're coming in today, they don't want to read 300 pages of a paper manual. They just don't. But if you can put bits of pieces of information in front of them where they can link to that larger guidance, where they don't feel like they're going to get lost, that's the goal here. But this is for you. With that, thank you very much, and I'll turn it over to Tim.
Thank you, Jarrod. And now the time that is pretty special in the program. We have the WMS Gulick Project Excellence Awards. This is a time where we highlight some of the great work we do in the cabinet. We still do some design work. This is a very competitive award. And Mr. John Moore is going to come up here. And speak about the projects that
One 9018. I think we've got a slideshow that's going to go with these. Is that true? Okay, there we go. Very good. Anybody from District 1 here? All right, come on up. As he's making his way this way, I'll share a little bit about this project. This is one near and dear to me because Paducah is God's country, and that's where this project is. So come on up. Absolutely. So this is I-24 in the Paducah area, and you jump in if I say anything wrong, if you don't mind. So this is the exit to the commercial area of Paducah. This is also the quickest way to get to my home, my boyhood home. I don't live there anymore, unfortunately. But this is with the mall traffic in this area. Traffic tends to queue up on the interstate, and it is heavily traveled. It is something that the district has been looking for widening to 6 lanes, but it is not percolated to the top of that list. But actually, this is the eastbound, so this is the merge, the on-ramp merge, correct? Yes. So this is coming from the mall area and my home to the interstate going back to school or to so forth. So due to some issues along the way, crashes in this area, they were looking for a quick win, recognizing that the 6 laning was going to be a while. they wanted to do something to improve the facility, which is very much through the last few years, very much in the vein of performance-based flexible solutions. If you can't do the big fix, do the small fix to get something improved while we're waiting for the big fix. So Kyle Pote, Chris Kuntz, and Jason Looper, the two branch managers, along with the chief, indicated there needs to be something. So they coordinated with Mike Vaughn and the HSIP program, noting about 53 crashes in the area associated with the ramp. They coordinating with Mike, they through I think the CMFs or presume it's something along those lines. They indicated that suggested that if they elongated the ramp by 1,000 feet, they could cut those crashes in half. And this was your inaugural experience with open roads, correct?
No, I was not the
designer. Okay, excuse me. My apologies. But this was the district's and actually one of the first in the state to be designing open roads. Patsy Rollins was the lead designer, and this was also there was elements of BRM with the new digital delivery. Wasn't clear through the submittal what those are, but said to stay tuned. So I'm on the edge of my seat. At the same time that this was being designed, part of this included widening a bridge just off the exit ramp. Unfortunately, this was right along the same time as a lot of our bridge folks were looking at a different bridge, Mr. Yeager's bridge up in District 6, the Brent Spence emergency repair. In spite of everybody focusing all their efforts, and that was straight from the top on getting Brent Spence, District 1 was able to sneak in some hours from the bridge group to get that done. This project didn't require any right of way. They were able to use the new queue management system because queues on this area, if it's a candidate for 6-lane, and then queues are likely going to be an issue if you're closing off a shoulder or shifting traffic. They were able to use that to help manage traffic. This is it was awarded for $990,000, which is a big HSIP project. But when you have big benefit, those can be good projects. This one thing that they noted out of this is that it is an improvement for the project or for the area, but it does not forego the ultimate need for a 6-lane, which is exactly the essence of PBFS. So for all of you, I would encourage you, if you have those short-term solutions, pursue them, because that's benefit now all the way up until the ultimate fix may come around. So I think we've got a certificate for District 1 for their project. Can we give a hand for District 1's project? Have a seat at the end. All right, the next project is District 3. Anybody from District 3 here can represent? All right, here we come. There's Andy coming up, looks like. I think. Looks like his eyebrows. This was a project actually that the city started, and city started and managed. It was a new project. Looks like from 2 plans ago, or the last plan. Is that correct? From 2018, and it was a new intersection with a US 68, which is a high-speed, high-volume, 4-lane divided highway, right in those pesky rural to urban transition areas. In coordination between the district and the city, they decided that the safest design would be an R-cut. Very, very effective in those transition zones to prevent those very common high energy crashes at the edge of urban areas. This was right after y'all just opened your first R-cut in the district. And I presume you saw good experiences with that. And so talked with the city about using the same technology on this project. But this was late in the, I presume it was late in the process of the city's project. They'd already started, so the ship had sailed on this project. It was already in construction, and they said, hey, this is a good opportunity. So there already had been a designer on board and they'd already finished. And so they washed their hands of that one. So the district came in and to modify the design to an R cut. Who was the designer on this one? David Erickson was the designer on this one. And actually through this one, y'all made some changes from the previous R cut that y'all used. So this was interesting when I was reading through this, because I was surprised. They initially had designed the previous R cut with a WB 67, and through anecdotal information from folks that had actually traveled that R cut, a box truck indicated that he had to back up and proceed forward again to make the turn. So they looked at that vehicle through the previous design and said, yeah, that's the wrong design vehicle for this type of U-turn. So for this project, they used a single unit 40-foot vehicle, a single unit box truck, and increased the diameter from 47 foot to 53 foot, 46 foot to 53 foot. And that was one of 3 improvements they made on the previous project. The second one was that the previous project, the U-turn was too far away from the intersection. So they brought it closer to the intersection as close as they could. And then the third was did quick curve on it to discourage side street vehicles from coming up in it. And a lot of coordination with the city, since it was their project and y'all were jumping in the midst of it. And they were actually strong advocates for it, because in other areas we've seen that R cuts are not taken as fondly. And actually, I believe Joe actually used this as an example in other areas of how it has turned out successfully. So it's great to have that local committee on board to help sell the solution. And that sounded like it really helped out. So with that, we've got a certificate for District 3. All right, District 4, Chris Smith. I know he was coming up. All right, this is a project that is near and dear to me that I started and Brad finished. Although I will take some credit. I at least back to this was a corridor, the Heartland Parkway, that starts from Columbia and goes all the way up to the Bluegrass Parkway. And this was a section of that project. I at least helped to back the locals off of a 4-lane divided highway, which made this project possible. So see, I'm right there. Chris, you're going to present this, right? No. Oh, come on up here.
Not sure what to do with my hands. So the Heartland Parkway was a result of a planning study. Yeah, I probably shouldn't. So as John tried to steal our glory, it started back in the 2000s, and over time, as we all experience, just the sheer cost of the project was going to be astronomical. Over for a 4-lane, it just wasn't feasible. So we started exploring other options. In Dare County, the 2+1 worked out really well, and we did 9 miles of it in Taylor County, which joined part of this corridor. And we had such great success and did several studies, a lot of coordination with local officials to secure some match dollars, and ultimately we were awarded a build grant for this project. The overall project was roughly 16 miles, and we ended up coordinating we got Aaron McKenzie on board out of the CAD section to help us out, get going. We started design on this thing nearly 2 years ago in ORD. So a lot of challenges I'm sure we're all still facing from using it, but we kind of teamed up and got going and encountered some shale that was acidic. That kind of caught us off guard. Not real common, but fairly common in our area. And so we had a TMDL to deal with just because of levels of sulfuric acid in the water, which was new to me anyway. And so we had to arrange quite a few meetings with the Division of Water. There's a lot of things that I hadn't encountered anyway. Jumped through all those hoops, and then COVID hit. So here we are trying to figure out how to learn new software. I'm still trying to learn proper English, and I'm dealing with Aaron over Teams, trying to get all this stuff coordinated to get it going. And ultimately we did make it happen, and we got the project complete. I think we had it designed like 6 months early, overall ahead of schedule, and then basically just waited on securing the federal funds to let the project. And currently it's under construction. We are having to appease the Division of Water. We had to agree to monitor water at like 26 outfalls. We got a live gauge out. And so we're monthly monitoring all these outfalls. There was just a lot here. 16 different utility companies located throughout the corridor, and ultimately it worked out pretty well, and everything's going good so far.
That was a sort of mostly completed the 2+1 corridor that now is the vision for the Heartland Parkway. There's one more north of Springfield left that they're actually applied for a build grant currently, if I'm not mistaken. So that's bring a long corridor to a successful conclusion. I actually remember the acidic shale back when they were doing the industrial connector, and it's kind of mind-numbing because you have to undercut by like 2 feet the acidic shale and put back clean material to help it. But thank you, sir. I'm glad to see that project moving along. So our last project is a District 10 project. Anybody from District 10 in the house? All right, come on, Darren. Those look like your eyebrows. I'll keep using that one. All right, this one is the one that, Darren, do you want to talk about this one, or you want me to? You have to go the other way, or unless you can levitate. All right. Y'all may have heard about this one. This was an emergency repair to the Mountain Parkway. District 10, they're used to things falling down on them. They've had back just in 2015, Kentucky 52 in Lee County went out of service on them due to a culvert collapse. They were able to get that turned around in 5 months. This one was definitely an order of magnitude difference. In the summer of 2020, the Mountain Parkway, the western lanes had to be closed for an extended period. For those that are not familiar with the significance of Mountain Parkway, that's the primary arterial from the central bluegrass area to amongst many Wolf, Breathitt, Knott, Perry, Letcher, Morgan, McGoffin, Johnson, Martin, Floyd, Pike counties of Eastern Kentucky. So that's all of that of Eastern Kentucky. This was in the Red River Gorge area of Eastern Kentucky. This is around the Slade area, and the formations of Red River Gorge, which if you haven't seen it, please make a chance to go do so. They're marked by a number of sandstone arches, and that sandstone is erodible over time with water and so forth. Around mile point 35, Tunnel Ridge Road, which is one of the primary accesses to Red River Gorge, There was a dip in May of 2020 in the westbound road, westbound lanes. They went out there and patched it, and by early July, the dip reappeared. Never a good sign. Never a good sign. So, but it was worse than it was originally. So y'all closed the road to take a look at it. Kentucky Transportation Center, our partners there, went out there to do some ground penetrating radar and found nothing. Well, they found a void that they needed to decided we needed to investigate a little bit further. So in late July, they closed it down and said, we need to figure out what's going on. We need to fix it. So subsequent geotechnical investigations found that the concrete pavement had become a bridge for that section of the roadway. Never comfortable, aspect. It was a bridge over a 60-foot chasm of that section of the parkway. So as they started excavating, that actual void extended under the eastbound lanes a little bit. And so through the fall break time, I know because I went out there with my family to go visit and took the long way around to get to the mouth of the gorge. But the Mountain Parkway traffic had to be diverted onto local roads. The westbound lanes was diverted through Mountain Parkway, and the eastbound lanes had to be diverted south around through Natural Bridge and back up to the Parkway. These are roads that are not used to Parkway traffic. Those were the roads back in the, before 1960s when Mountain Parkway was open, but they're not used to those modern traffic nowadays. So it's closed in late July and was advertised through the extensive work of District 10 to get the project ready. It was advertised in September, awarded to Walker Construction, and actually was open to traffic, completed October 31st, or actually ahead of the October 31st deadline. And due to it being such a high tourist area or tourist time frame in the fall, so this was closed in late summer all the way through the fall colors. And they worked extensively with first responders as well as local media to make sure everybody was aware of the traffic patterns, the changing traffic patterns. Thankfully, they were able to open the eastbound lanes a little bit early, but the westbound lanes were closed till late October. So a great project there as well. So we've got a certificate for you as well. All right, so those are very, very excellent projects from all across the state. And I will say that a couple of them are freshly opened. The pavement markings may not have faded even yet. So I hope to see those again in the future as hopefully we get a little bit more performance information on them. But drum roll, please. The winner of the 2021 William S. Gulick Performance Excellence Award is Mountain Parkway. I'll stick around after. Congratulations to all of our participants.
So just a couple of housekeeping things. Appreciate everyone keeping their mask on. We're going to do our best in this group to try to stay safe. Also, when you're going to the reception area and also during breaks, try to spread out a little bit. They've given us quite a bit of room to spread out, so go ahead and take advantage of that. And I guess in honor of Ken Sperry leaving September 15th, I'm going to have to say something about him because I've known him a long time. What y'all probably don't know about Ken is very humble. And I'll give you a story just so you can know I'm talking about the same Ken Sperry is. So Ken and I were talking one day, and Ken had applied for a position and he didn't get selected. And he was saying, you know, there probably is 5 or 6 other people that are better for that job than me. To which I replied, Ken, there's 8 billion people in this world. So you're saying they had a 1 in a billion chance of picking somebody better than you. I believe that. I believe you believe that. So with that, thank you all. If you get a chance to see Ken, tell him how much you appreciate working with him, and have a good evening. The reception starts at 5. Thank you all.